listeners, and welcome to Distractable, without production, with your hosts, warmongering Wade, Modest Mark, and beautiful Bob. This week, the boisterous barbarians rather bluntly by buzzing the tricks of bed and bones. Yes, it's time for Bottoms and Rockford. Please analyze hives and nets and enjoy this show.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Distractable. I'm your host today. My name is Bob. If you listen, you probably know that. Don't talk. I didn't prompt you yet. Not yet. This is a show where there's rules, kind of a competition. I'm the host, and we have two competitors. As always, I'm joined by the two competitors that will be competing today in the competition. Now that's your turn. Mark and Wade, say hello.
Hi, Bob. Hey.
Alright, that's Mark and Wade. If you're new here, basically, I'm the host. I have an idea or a topic of some sort. Mark and Wade are competing to win, because whoever wins gets to host next week.
Yes.
But we don't have to jump into that yet.
The unbridled power.
Yeah, I mean, you win the prestige, power, get a staff, which comes with a couple spells you're able to cast. Pretty cool cape.
Yeah.
Cloak type of situation. Cool stuff.
And then when we surprise end the podcast on one episode that people won't even know about beforehand, and it just suddenly all goes away at once, the final winner who has the most wins will get the grand prize.
What's that?
Yeah, wait, what's the grand prize?
Oh, even I don't know what the grand prize is, but it's incredible. It's amazing.
Where's it kept?
In a secret location. Do you know geocaching?
Never met him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Well, we did geocaching by, instead of actually picking a place with GPS coordinates, we actually just threw it out of a plane.
After blindfolding both pilots, did they land okay?
Yeah.
Does it have like national treasure style geographical and geological landmarks and indicators and things?
Nobody knows. And also, to answer your question, Wade, I don't know, because that would give away if they had an idea of where they would even land and or crash. That would be able to triangulate the position of the grand prize.
Someone who was blindfolded found and packaged it, and they handed it off to a blindfolded door guy in the plane, and then two blindfolded pilots took the plane off from an undisclosed location because they were all blindfolded when they were brought through the place. They're driven around in a car for some amount of time.
Yes.
They have no idea, completely disoriented.
Yes.
They know maybe that it's in like somewhere in North America, I guess, probably, but
maybe.
And then the pilots were just told to fly in a random direction, which they did, and then the doorman was just told at some random point to randomly open the door and huck the thing out.
Yes.
This is the greatest thing that's ever happened. Now I need to win this.
I know.
Were they naked too?
Oh, everyone was naked. They couldn't have phones or anything.
I want this grand prize.
I know.
No underwear, no phones, no shirts, nothing.
You know what the best part is?
What could be better?
Your lip movement?
The best part is that whatever it is, might be a chest, might be a suitcase, might be a case, might be a box, might be nothing, might be no container at all. Either way, it's time locked. Much like Unis Honest, at a certain random time that was randomly set anywhere between 0 and 100 years in the future, it will open, simultaneously deleting every episode of Distractable that we've ever recorded, even the tester ones that never made it to air. And then it will open. A GPS beacon will start blinking and we'll be able to find it. And given that the winner will be the only one left standing, the winner will be able to claim it.
I'm sorry, when the box opens, does it kill the two monsters?
It doesn't kill them.
Is that what you're implying?
No. It's indirect, right? So it's not killing.
It's like Final Destination. You're like, eventually something will kill us?
Well, it will kill you at the time. Or, it may not be kill. It may just purge you from existence.
That sounds a lot like kill.
Oh, we get blipped.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad.
Bob, can I win, please?
Hell no. I gotta have what's in the box.
Alright, so we have inherent bias, I see. I rooted it out.
No, I'm not letting Mark win either. I want to win.
Well, you can't let yourself.
I'm the host. I can do whatever I want. You don't know.
Technically, maybe he could. I don't know.
That's true. Who knows?
He never has to let us win again, Mark. He can just win them all from now on.
I do all of these podcasts blindfolded. I don't even know where I am.
You don't need to talk to see. Or wait, you don't need to hear. I don't know how blindfolds work.
We'll come find you and put one on you and do some stuff.
Yeah. What?
Oh God. All right. Whatever. I guess I'm gonna be blipped anyway. Might as well live it up.
I like how you're just assuming the loss now. Well,
I just skip the stages of grieving, usually go straight to acceptance.
I am excited for the stretch where one of us goes completely maniacal with the host powers and actually just lets themselves win a couple weeks in a row. It's just the same host back to back. Bound to happen. We're pretty insane people.
We might be. We might be.
I declared 2 winners once. That's probably the craziest finish we had, right?
Yeah, that was a wild one.
What was the result of that? I don't even remember.
Didn't we co-host an episode where Wade had to just do whatever we wanted?
What episode was that for people listening who may not have seen that one?
That was early. That was early.
I can't remember. I don't even know if I even won being the only contestant.
I think you didn't. I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Good times, good times. It'll all be missed.
Yeah, it'll all be gone. And then one of us will have the ultimate reward and or punishment. Who knows? Anything.
It could be. Might be nothing.
Speaking of life-altering events, do you guys see the James Webb Space Telescope? First ever photo, or whatever,
Did we
image
direct Guardians of the Galaxy?
of
Do not
the black
mock
hole at the
this.
center of our galaxy.
Don't mock this moment. Wait, this is too
This
important.
is actually like some of the craziest, coolest stuff that's happened in science in a hot minute.
Okay, I don't know what James Webb is. I'm Googling
Well, how do you
He's a
know?
guy.
This is-
It doesn't matter who he is. He's
Okay.
some astronomer.
it. Alright, what'd he do?
He has a big-ass space telescope. He took an image of the black hole that's keeping our galaxy together, presumably. It's at the center of our galaxy. We have a picture of that.
I'm looking. I didn't know we had a black hole. I thought those were bad. Are those good?
That's the force that is keeping this galaxy as a big spinny, 9-legged whatever it is. I don't even know if that's the right number of legs, but
Maybe.
maybe.
Maybe it is.
Presumably, but not known. It is not known.
Not known.
Well, that's pretty and or apocalyptic looking.
Mhm.
It's cool.
Did you link it or is it? Do I gotta?
Oh, I think I'm not actually looking at it. I looked at it for a long time today already.
Let me open it back up here.
Oh, I did not see this one. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. That looks like from Warhammer 40k, not to equate it to that, but like any the Eye of Terror in Warhammer 40k. Let me find
It
it.
also looks like if I was watching Jurassic Park and they were holding up the amber with the mosquito in it, but I wasn't wearing my glasses and I was trying to like squint from across the room.
I just linked the first thing that came up for Eye of Terror in Warhammer 40k, but that picture does kind of look like it, which is pretty cool.
I have heard it's cool. Yeah. Anyway, that happened, huh?
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
I just last night watched a video talking about the alignment checks that they were doing in the various like cameras that they have on the telescope, focus testing and how they focus, and the fact that they're able to adjust the mirrors down to the nanometer. Like, oh.
Yeah. The fact that the James Webb Telescope exists and was deployed and is being calibrated and stuff is a fucking miracle of modern science-y insanity.
It's so beyond nuts. It's so nuts. God, the pictures that we're gonna get out of that thing. Oh,
It's gonna be so cool.
isn't it cool, Wade?
We're all gonna die.
Wait, you have to agree, it's cool.
Yes, it is very cool. It makes me want to watch Jurassic Park again. Is that good?
Why?
I guess.
Because now I see the amber, and I want to see the amber.
You could Google a picture of the amber.
Yeah, but that's just watching the movie.
You could buy an amber.
I mean, if James James Webb makes a black hole movie, I'll watch Jurassic Hole, whatever you call it. I'll watch that too.
I'm sad now. I'm very sad.
How did Wade take that? Well, it's supposed to be an epic moment of reverence and wonder at the crazy thing that we've gotten to take a look at for the first time ever and turn it into just
Acceptable how stupid I am. That's what I'm taking out of it.
pretend to be excited.
You don't understand how mad you're making people, Wade. I just want you to be aware of how long you're going to get shit for this.
Mark, I have been doing this for a decade and I still get shut up Wade, so I believe me, if anyone understands the scope of what can happen, it's me.
Well,
It's really cool. It's exciting. I don't know exactly what it means.
why couldn't you have just said that?
That wouldn't be me.
You could have just said that. You could have just said that first and then been like, I don't really care.
Oh god, no, it's much more fun getting under y'all's skin.
Minus 1,000 points to Wade.
Can we make it 1,005? Because people on the subreddit are still like upset about that 5 points I was supposed to lose.
I'm never gonna correct that. I don't care.
All right, cool. Then we'll make it 1,000 even. Screw you, everyone out there.
Fuck your math.
You know how mad you're
Get
making
outta
everyone
here.
out there, Bob? Do you understand?
6, 5,
3, 2, 1.
Oh, we're live.
Whoa! How do I pause?
Yeah, how do I not be live?
Probably the pause button.
Pause button.
Up in the top right is the thing, maybe?
Sure is.
Big maybe.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't do the, there you go.
Alright, where's the pause button? I don't see it.
It's up there.
It's not. It's
Don't-
not.
Don't you question me, it's up there.
It's
God, please
not.
help us.
I couldn't tell you where, but
Uploading
I'm,
99%. There's no pause.
I see the uploading. I don't see a pause.
it's definitely up there.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Woo!
Oh, I control it. Don't worry.
That would be good if you could.
Don't worry, guys. I control it.
That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, I told you it was up there.
You did tell us that, yes.
I told you that fridge would fit through there. Everybody loves the fridge episode, right?
Welcome
Everybody
to the
loves it.
show. The very regular weekly show where we do this live.
I don't do Facebook or whatever we're streaming on. What are the green messages?
This is called YouTube. Are you familiar with YouTube?
No. I've not run my own YouTube channel in 4 years.
Have you ever seen, I don't know, this guy maybe called Markiplier or
Never heard of him. Oh, that one's yellow. What does that
Jay
mean?
Speed
Oh, money.
Dicey.
That means money. Who gets that?
Jay
Someone gets money from
Spidicey.
this.
Who's Jay
My
Spidicey?
favorite, my favorite YouTuber who also owns a weed brand or whatever it is. Jay Speed Dicey.
Yeah, top of the weed coffee.
Yeah.
Top of the evening to you, ladies.
Top of 420 to you, my boys.
Top of daddy booty. Nice.
My boys.
Isn't he part of that one podcast, the Boner Cast?
Yeah, he's a legendary founding member of the Bone Cast.
That's really what this podcast is modeled after,
Yeah, but only
honest.
it's a shadow of its former self. It is definitely not a true blue representation.
Yeah, it's more of a white collar podcast.
How do you ask? What word did you just say? I don't know.
I think he said focus. I'm pretty sure.
Cast?
Okay, I did. My ears stuttered. That's on
I
me.
say a lot of weird things, but I don't think podcast would want
Over here now.
Poet Mark.
Yeah, Mark's clearly paying close attention.
Lusciously fluffing my hair.
There we go.
Actually, I was just in the woods, and I'm like convinced I have bugs in my hair, and I've looked really closely, and I've been like, oh man, if I have lice, that'd be terrible. But I keep looking because I was in the woods, and I get this paranoid feeling every time a branch like touches my head. I'm like, that's it. I have it. I have the lice now. Just it's forever in there. So I've kind of been looking about that.
Is that a thing?
Apparently
Can you
not.
just get lice from? That's not how lice work, is it?
I don't know where
Yeah,
lice
you just
come
go to the
from.
Lice live on like animals or humans.
Were you snuggling a bear?
No, there was no bear snuggling, but there was this squirrel that was right above in an oak tree that
Just
kept
scratching
eating.
lice off.
No, it was eating acorns and dropping the caps on us.
Oh, well, that's
Literally just
adorable.
It was like, come, my lice brethren, get into the husk of this meal.
You would eat an acorn and then take the cap and like pick out, fill it with, turn into a lice grenade.
A lice
Gotcha.
That's what I think happens. Literally every time a branch even remotely touches my hair or anything like in the woods, as my hair, I'm like, God, it's lice. Which, you know, as a kid, I get that it's a problem for certain kids, but I thought it would be a much more prevalent problem than it was advertised to be as a child.
I never had it when I was a kid. I never got lice, and I also worked in a school where we had a couple lice outbreaks. Never once got it. I literally was the guy. I was the guy who had the seat in the office where if a teacher found a kid with lice, they were like, "Go sit with Mr. Mysians for a minute," before we like called their parents and tried to figure out what the next steps were. Because some parents were like, "Nah, just wash them. You do it." And some parents were like, you know, does that help?
It does help.
It just likes getting
Do
smacked
you have a
around.
CRT computer?
It
Kind
kind
of
of
warm
does.
up a little.
I have
It
to
opens
dig
its
off it.
CD-ROM drive. It's like, smack me, Mark.
I mean,
all right.
You think computers are CD-ROMs anymore? CD-ROMs.
Next to the floppy disk port.
Mark boots his computer up and it's all beep boop. No, not yet. And he starts smacking it. It's like, close.
Well, I mean,
Close.
legitimately, my computer whole setup is I have to hit my actual desktop. My monitors have to warm up for like an hour and a half before you can actually see through them. It is kind of a weird ordeal of my computer.
Considering that you have a pretty nice setup, it's very confusing how janky it is.
I know, it is weird. These monitors were not cheap. The computer was provided for free, but apparently it was like very, very well made, except for the one fan that buzzes and I have to.
That's what you get for going with the organic monitors. You know, they actually wake up, stretch, do their morning routine, and then they're like, fine, I guess I'm turned on now after the back rub.
I mean, maybe, but there's nothing wrong with a little foreplay. I just wish it did in less than an hour and a half, right? You know, I think that's excessive.
Amen. 2 more hours like that, we're supposed to call our doctors, you know?
All right. Well, we got a short show today, right, boys?
Yep. That's
Yeah,
all we
thanks for
got.
coming.
Thank you so much for hanging out.
No,
Oh, okay.
not yet, not
Not that
yet,
short.
because I have something that I've been meaning to talk about for quite a while. Something that's been on my mind. Something that is affecting the entirety of the world around us. Something that involves glitter and a conspiracy of epic proportions, the likes of which you'd never understand.
At the heart of every story. Hey, back off! I'm a reporter. Markiplier is there to report what's real. Look, I'm all for fuel economy, but blood just don't work that way. No matter how terrifying it may be. So how good is bone broth for you? This is Nightmares of Futures Past.
You like that one?
Blood just
miss
don't
turning
work that
around.
way.
That was a classic. I had to dig that one up from way back when. No one probably ever heard that because I don't think that ever made it air. So it's new to everybody out there, and I'll call it new for now. This is a story about the Great Glitter Conspiracy of 2018.
I don't believe it. I'm just going to start
hearing
from
about
that
glitter.
position.
No,
Remember our teacher? Oh, you heard about this?
I've heard about glitter, yeah.
Oh, okay.
It got popular in the 20-teens.
Glitter, a holiday staple since at least 1942. Glitter is technically aluminum metallized polyethylene terephthalate. It takes 1,000 years for glitter to biodegrade, and most of the world's supply is produced in New Jersey at 2 different glitter manufacturing companies. And although reporter Katie Weaver tried to visit each of these companies, only one grudgingly allowed her inside the building. The company Glitter.
Oh, I guess maybe you can. Would you like a coffee or a water? God, I guess. Come on in. Do your interview. I'm not happy about it, but sure. What do you want to know? Here for you.
It is in Jersey, I guess. You're not being a glitter man, you're being a Jersey man.
It's just happily he's covered like confetti and glitter. Like,
Come on in. We're very happy here.
Is that your Jersey accent?
Forget about it.
Anyway, the company, Glitterex, was secretive about its numbers, but it did reveal that the most popular glitter color, quote, by far, is silver. And to remove glitter, the company's CEO suggests using soap and water or fabric softener sheets to combat the plastic static cling. The story's most tantalizing detail, however, is that one of the glitter industry's biggest clients doesn't want the public to know that it's using glitter in the first place. And this is where the conspiracy comes in. You didn't hear
Glitter
it was
comes
great.
glitter free.
It's the great glitter the Great Glitter Conspiracy of 2018.
I heard the title. Yeah, I'm
I'll
here
put
for
some
the
music in there for
conspiracy.
dramatic effect.
Hang on, I got some music for you, Mark.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute.
It's not as dramatic.
The
as I'd like it.
conspiratorialness of that song.
It's too lighthearted. There must be a conspiracy.
What follows is a conversation that Weaver had with someone who worked at Glitterex. When I asked Miss Dyer if she could tell me which industry served as Glitterex's biggest market, her answer was instant. Quote, "No, I absolutely know that I can't." End quote. I was taken aback. Quote, "But you know what it is." Quote. The other person says, "Oh God, yes." She laughed and said, "And you would never guess it. Let's just leave it at that." End quote. I asked if she could tell me why she couldn't tell me. Quote, "Because they don't want anyone to know that it's glitter." End quote. If I looked at it, I wouldn't know it's glitter? No, not really. Would I be able to see the glitter? Oh, you'd be able to see something, but it's, yeah, I can't. End quote.
Let's go back to our food tier list now. Which one is glitter? What was on low on the tier list?
I cannot imagine a thing that you would look at covered in,
Oh, it's
filled
something.
with, or otherwise is having glitter on or near or in it, and you would be like, sparkly. Sparkly little specks. Almost
Yeah,
like
it's-
glitter. Probably not,
I
though.
literally have no idea what this could possibly be, but it's so secretive. It's like that the redwood in the woods. It's like, if you kill me, you'll have more problems than you could ever know about redwood burrows. But it's just the fact that it's like, no, I can't. If I see it, would I know? Not really. Would I be able to see the glitter? Oh, you'd be able to see something. This is so good.
I really like the idea of all the people in this glitter factory, like all the executives are like, "Oh, this is such a big secret, guys. We gotta be prepared. If anyone ever asks you," which they haven't, because we're a glitter company. But if anyone ever asks, you can't tell them who our top customer is. Like, okay, I can. Well, let's ingrain that. Let's do some trainings. Let's really work on this. And they were all building to this moment. She was so excited about it because she was like, "The reporter's gonna ask, what's your biggest?" I can't tell you. It's a secret. Did I do it right?
That's enough of your questions. Would you like to see the facility?
That angry door guard is still following you around. All right, so
This way.
Weaver went on to ask the glitter representative if she would tell her who the client was off the record. She wouldn't, or even off the record after the story's publication. Also no. At which point the representative leads her unrelatedly to the automotive grade pigments. So as she's being guided, she's in the automotive section.
Cool.
Later in the
Okay.
piece, Weaver notes that glitter appears in items like NFL helmets, credit cards, and jet ski paint jobs, and that researchers sometimes feed glitter to animals to track them via sparkly feces. Who isn't using glitter?
I somehow use it. I thought I found the real Rainbow Road. Oh God!
Yes, somehow feeding glitter to animals, this stuff that doesn't biodegrade for like 1,000 years, who knows what, is less damaging to their reputation than revealing their ultimate client.
It has to be something that people consume.
It has to be.
It's gold. It's Goldschlager. How much glitter does Goldschlager need? And all those like hypnotic and all those drinks that are all swooshy swooshy inside.
Yeah.
Glitter. It's a conspiracy.
You don't think it's that new burger chain, Glitter Burger, do you?
No, they did a whole ad campaign about how that's just the way they process the meat.
Okay.
It's microscopic water droplets that form on the surface because of the way their meat patty machine
Yeah.
form. That's not
Dehydrated
It does
ice
look like
crystals
glitter,
and glows. Yeah, it shines like glitter.
but it's
Yeah.
not glitter. Couldn't
It's
be.
not. No. My first guesses as to what might secretly call for massive amounts of glitter were weapons and flooring. I opened it up to cut staff for further speculation. Who is this mysterious glitter buyer, and what don't they want us to know? So these are the following guesses from various people in the website that wrote this article, which is thecut.com. So They guessed jewelry, tiles, cars, but why would cars care? And someone said it has to be explosive. Someone just said share. Someone said maybe the moon or God or hospitals. It could be NASA. Someone said, is it a food thing? Toothpaste. Maybe it's Elon Musk and Grimes. Computers? I still think it might be tiles. I agree that computers are glittery. I think we forgot too quickly that the New York Times said that UFOs are real and that we have their technology in our possession. I don't know what this has to do with anything. Maybe the government is using glitter to build a big mirror, and behind the mirror are all the UFOs. I asked Weaver if they had any guesses, and she DM'd me her personal theory, which I honestly now feel obliged to keep secret for security. And then the article abruptly ends.
Like mid-sentence.
Big glitter must have got
They
to
got
them.
them right in the middle, and they published it anyway.
Yeah.
It is just something. The article goes a bunch of conjecture, not knowing what their biggest client is, a bunch of guesses, and then the article abruptly stops.
All right, so let's guess and see if we end up disappearing. Weapons, something like involved with weapons and bombs would make sense, not because of the glitter, but because it would be like, well, it's that industry. Politician brain pills, I could see.
Yeah. I was reading into this though, because just the other day we were listening to. Have you ever listened to the podcast Behind the Bastards?
No, I don't listen to Distracted. I don't listen to that.
That's good. That was the right answer. But I was actually, it was Amy was listening, so it's not my fault.
I was gonna say unforgivable, but I guess it's not.
Yeah, it is. No, you're right. It isn't. Anyway, so there's this episode on the FDA. Have you ever heard the story of like how the FDA came to be?
No, actually.
So for those of you who don't know, the FDA is the Food and Drug Administration. Right now, as its current stance, it is a pretty terrible organization that doesn't really enforce anything in a proper way. It's kind of like it's not as what it once was. But back in the day, early 1900s, late 1800s, there was a bit of an epidemic with food alterations. Food alterations is where you take a food substance and you add stuff to it to change it, which is fine if you're cooking. It's very bad if you're trying to enhance the amount of something. Say, like if you have a brick of cocaine and you want to make it last longer or sell more of it for less, less
Only buy the
cost.
FDA approved cocaine.
You put like baby powder in it or some shit like that.
Talcum
you cut
powder.
it. Talcum powder. Thank you. I wasn't sure.
I don't know what
So,
that is, but that's what you put
Baking
in.
soda.
So they did this with milk. Back in the day, they would have milk. And number one, milk back in the day, especially in cities, was very bad because milk was usually from cows that were fed swill, which apparently is leftover malt feed from breweries.
Doesn't sound good.
No, it's not, because this is the stuff after it's been boiled for a few days, so all the nutrients are out of it. At this point, all the grains that they've boiled
Fiber.
out, it's basically just fiber. So that's where a lot of the milk is coming from cities. That was not great. But in addition to that, what they would do is companies would just cut it with random shit again and again. They would sometimes just they would pour water in it. They would skim the fat off of it, which is where the term skim milk comes from. You got to skim the cream off the top, and they would replace it with something that looked like the cream that would be on milk. Take a guess of what they replaced it with.
Horse semen.
Good guess. Wade.
It's just semen.
Yeah, it doesn't
Then
have to be
fine.
horse. I guess any kind of semen. You
All
can
of it.
get.
You're so close, because that would be similar, but no, they replaced it with liquefied cow brains. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh,
Cool.
Bessie, thanks for this bucket. Now open your head.
And there
Hey,
was one.
if they switched from calling it milk to just calling it cow juice, it wouldn't even be an inaccurate marketing scheme.
You're right. You would have thrived in the early 1900s.
Skim cow juice. Don't mind if I do.
Yeah.
We put everything but the moo in it.
Extra chunky.
They had one occurrence where early on, before the FDA, there was like a kind of like a beginning organization. The beginnings of the FDA was starting out. There was a lot of people that were trying to find, do research on what the milk quality actually was, and it was terrible. They got one call from a family who wanted them to come look at their jar of milk that they had, because they reported that the milk was wriggling.
Oh,
So
on its own, like it's a
on its
bottle.
own.
The bottle of
they didn't
flubber on
cut
the
the
shelf,
brain
just like,
It was still
Let
attached
me
to the
out.
cow.
So what
God.
happened was the guy who from this organization came over, looked at the jar of milk, and what he observed that the entirety of the milk inside the jar had been replaced with worms. Now it's not like that the milk company was like, let's cut it with worms. Let's do this. This is the best solution. No, what happened was they cut it with pond water. So they wanted to water down the milk. I know. It doesn't.
a written
Like,
description
okay.
describing milk as being a white liquid could have resolved this. There's no such thing as pond water and worms that's the right color of milk.
No, they had some milk and then they cut the rest
But
with
they have a
pond
double
water.
bottle with like a thin layer of milk around it, and then whatever they want on the inside, like
white
one of those.
paint.
You just paint the bottle
pond
white.
water.
And
you put it in.
Still, if you pour a glass of that was
Yeah.
real, the worms thing is really getting to me. That's horrific.
So what happened was, and I'll finish it up. Obviously, the pond water had larvae in it. They fed off the milk, basically just like they ate the milk, and then it was just only worms left. So yeah, that's the beginnings of things getting introduced to other things. So that leads me to believe the glitter conspiracy might actually be something food related, because what else would they not want people to know? And in a day and age where the FDA is not up to the same standards, because when the FDA came about after all the milk stuff and the various other food products, they were putting like poisons in candy. They were using copper and like what, asbestos or some shit like that for coloring in candy. And kids were dying every year, not just a few. Thousands of children were dying from the milk, the candy, the various foods that had poison. They were trying to make milk last longer, and there was this whole thing where pasteurization. You guys have heard of pasteurization, right?
Sure. It's where you let the cows outside and they eat the pasture.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. It's where you heat up milk to about 130 to 140 degrees, and it kills any germs or bacteria or viruses in the milk without distorting the milk proteins, so it's still good to drink. It lasts a lot longer. This process was found, like, again, in the early 1900s, late 1800s, maybe even, like, mid-late 1800s. And they were like, all of Europe was like, oh, shit, this is great. Milk lasts for weeks now. But America was like, no, we're not gonna spend money to boil milk. You know how much money it costs to boil something?
Now we've got all this rat poison we could add.
Well, you're close. Formaldehyde. They loved to put formaldehyde in things. And it was kind of one of those bad, like, good intentions, bad endings, where a scientist realized that formaldehyde naturally occurs in a lot of plants and apples and stuff like that, right? Formaldehyde exists. It's how fruit preserves itself. It literally has formaldehyde. It has preserving properties. It's naturally occurring. So scientists are like, theoretically, you can put tiny amounts, like 2 drops of formaldehyde in a gallon of milk, and it will make it last a little bit longer, a few days longer. And like that was logical at the time. The milk companies heard, oh, you put formaldehyde in milk, it lasts longer. So they dumped as much formaldehyde in the milk as would not distort the taste of the milk.
God.
And this is before the cutting with pond water and the
God.
calcium to recolor it, you know, all the chalk that they put into it to give it the whiteness, and the cow brains. So literally all these extra steps would have cost so much less than just boiling it. And it wasn't even boiling it. You just raise it to 130 degrees and then you go down. But they would have to retool everything. They couldn't keep all the troughs, milk troughs with the poop in it. There was also poop in the milk, by the way.
Well, there still is poop in milk, I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, but it's boiled.
Yeah, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
Is it bad that I want a bowl of Rice Krispies right now?
I don't know if I ever eat milk again. Get the old loaf of milk out, take a slice. I don't know if I can do it.
Oh, get me 10 loaf.
or just milk.
One thing I can't let go of in all of this is I know they had science, but I'm just imagining this is like so long ago, you know, in the 19th century that the pre-FDA's version of like testing things is some guy comes up and is like, so you got some milk or something you want me to look at? And the family's like, yeah, this milk is really it's wriggling a lot. It seems wrong. The guy's like, let me take a swig of that, see what that milk's doing. There's just a guy who's like the milk tester. There's no science, there's no chemical, you know, like mass spec or anything. He's just like, smells like most milk I come across. I don't know. Let me just take a big lug of this. Oh, ooh, that's worms. That's different. Worms doesn't really fall within the usual description I would give to milk, but it's the right color. So I'm torn.
So what if he gets sick or dies within a week? They're like, bad product, pick it off the shelves.
No, actually, no, they would not. Kids would be dropping dead all over the place.
Just slap a warning on there, not for children.
Can't be milk. They would pay sometimes like $250,000 of that era's money a year to like lobby against government regulations for food standards.
You know what seems cheaper to me than spending millions of dollars lobbying against regulations and also inventing new types of shit to cut your product with so that you can sell 50% more of it?
Glitter.
Maybe just save all those millions, sell a regular product that has no additives or extraneous bullshit to go with it, and then take the profits from that. I mean, that doesn't sound very American, but you could. I've heard people do that.
Man, you know, the hilarious thing, well, not hilarious in a cosmic sense, is that, like, the American thing is always to let a problem get so unbelievably bad that then they rubber band and then solve it in such a grandiose, fantastic way. Because that's what happened with the FDA. The FDA came in and all of these food standards, like, got established, and the regulatory body, and it was entirely funded by the taxpayers, so that they weren't ever funded by anything. But as these systems go on, they start to degrade and they go down. This is why, like, food labels have clear ingredients of what is in the food, like the nutritional values of the food. It's why, like, before, certain medications needed extremely strict testing before they could go through. Not so much anymore, because, like I said, things get really bad, and then America just is like, all right, enough kids are dying, I guess. Let's fix it, but we're gonna do it right. And it's like, you know, it's like, it's the weirdest kind of like back and forth of like, I don't wanna, I'm gonna be the best at it, and I'm done forever now. No one can beat us, and then I'm going to sleep. That's
the threshold for that is so funny too, though, because it'll be for decades. It'll be like, 3,000 kids died this year from dangerous bicycle accidents. Should we make them wear helmets? And then next year, like 3,300. It's going up. 10 years later, they're like, 9,000 kids died.
every kid.
That's too many. We should do something. Well, if you had done this a decade ago, all of those over 10,000 kids who already had died, whatever. It's time now, I guess.
We're capitalists, not moralists.
There is a maximum number of kids that need to die before someone cares, I guess.
It's got to
just
affect
a really
the
high
bottom
number.
line.
Man, good thing this is all a hypothetical situation.
Yeah,
It
no, that
doesn't
happened.
affect anything in our current day and
Yeah,
age.
no. Hey, you know what this brings to mind for me though, Mark? You really
What?
spurred something. We'll get back to the glitter conspiracy. Have you guys heard about the pink sauce drama?
What is the pink sauce drop?
Is that I think maybe I have.
There is this TikTok account. I know I always talk about TikTok because that's what I talk about. Called Chef Pie, I think, or Chef Pete. It's chef.pii. I'm assuming it's Chef Pie. She's like a chef TikToker. Her name is Carly, and she posts video of her just like cooking stuff, and she doesn't have like a big business or anything. She made this sauce, invented this sauce called the pink sauce, which is effectively, it's a variation of like ranch dressing sort of, but it has like dragon fruit in it, which is what makes it very pink. But otherwise, it has like seasonings, chili, garlic, normal sort of stuff. It's like a dipping sauce, right? Or like French fries, chicken fingers, whatever. It's Pepto-Bismol pink. Like it's real pink. And
I know what to cut it with then.
Yeah, well, thin it right out.
Plus, that stomach? I don't think so.
Keeps your tummy in line.
Yeah, it keeps all that horrible diarrhea you're gonna get from drinking.
You'll never taste the glitter with Pepto-Bismol mixed in.
Yeah.
It's all in one.
So she invented this and it went super viral. She had like under 1,000 followers before the pink sauce stuff started, and now it's just over 80,000 or something. It may be higher than that. I don't know how up to date this article is. And she just started making this sauce and bottling it and selling it. And there are exceptions, but generally in America, if you're going to sell like a commercial product, if you're going to sell something that online as like a food product for human consumption, it's supposed to be like you're supposed to follow the FDA rules, right? They have rules and regulations about how it should be produced, so that there's like food safety rules, and you have to list the ingredients and all these sorts of things. And she basically just did it herself, and it went super viral. And then people started getting bottles of pink sauce, and it's unclear if some of them were like fake or knockoffs or what. But some of the bottles that this chef pie definitely produced herself and sold to people went bad. Like they got to the customer who bought them and they had exploded because there was bacteria growing inside, which created pressure, which like ruptured the container. And it's just, one, it's not a color that anyone should want to eat. I find it very off-putting. But two, people want to eat it, that's fine. It's like, people started asking like, hey, is this like you follow the rules? Is this like FDA approved? And there's a notorious clip of the TikToker on like a live responding to questions and stuff, where someone was like, hey, did you follow the FDA rules? And she was like, FDA? I don't sell medical products. I don't need the FDA for this. And all this stuff. And yeah, it's just, it looks gross. All of the worst pictures that have come out are just like, oh, spoiled. Also, a lot of them are different colors of pink, which for something that you're selling as like a commercial product, consumer product, you would think the recipe would be hopefully consistent enough that they would all generally be the same color. But some of them are like really pastel, some of them are like neon, like concerning 80s pink, almost verging on like purple. And it's a whole thing. And apparently the FDA like visited her house, and I don't know, she's trying to make it all on the up and up now. But it was just like this gross thing that happened.
I think they'd be on top of this because like,
there was no ingredients on the bottle at all.
Yeah, if you look at the original labels and stuff, it doesn't list what's in it. It doesn't have any like warnings. Apparently there was dairy in it, but it was a very shelf stable. It was like dried dairy solids or something, which is what's in like shelf stable mayonnaise. So there was just a lot of confusion and uncertainty about like, is this okay that it's not shipped refrigerated? Is it gonna kill me? Is this full of some kind of disgusting bacteria that's gonna give me like salmonella or something? But it went super viral and some people ate it and didn't die. So
why did this get the FDA's attention finally, but Bella Delphine's bathwater didn't? People drink that all the time.
That wasn't. I don't think that was intended to be drink.
What?
Oh. I have an ingredient. What are you drinking? I have an ingredient list of the pink sauce here from what I believe is probably an updated label because it's actually Nutrition Facts, the big white label. Water, sunflower seed, oil, raw honey, distilled vinegar, garlic, paella, pink Himalayan sea salt, dried spices, lemon juice, milk, citric acid. I don't see any dragon fruit in here. I don't know what makes it pink. Nothing in here should.
Oh, there was also typos. I forgot that part. That was a funny little side note. There was some version of the label that started to have ingredients on it, and it had a couple typos in it. Like one of them was like it contained red wine vinegar or something instead of vinegar. It was just like a typo.
Oh, sorry, I was about to say the word not out.
Yeah. So, yeah, the FDA isn't what it was, but it still does enforce, and there are still laws on the books that it has to, well, I mean, it should regulate. And the food part, people often forget about. There's this loophole for supplements that's like a big gaping loophole in terms of, like, you know, they have supplements often have the label, these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. And what that means is, like, you know, you don't have to necessarily submit it for approval, but you still have to adhere to the current regulations to put what is in your supplement on the bottle, what amounts, because that's the most important thing for the safety of the American public, is to know what you're eating. And whenever there's a food like this that doesn't actually say what's in it, you don't know what you're eating. It can have, what if it had peanuts in it, and someone like Ethan with a peanut allergy tried it for a video and had an anaphylactic reaction.
I do honestly feel like that's one of the main things. I'm less concerned, and also have less faith that if a company is like cutting their cereal with sawdust, it's not like they're gonna put that in the ingredients anyway, because that wouldn't be legal in any case. It's not like if you put that on there, the FDA is like, well, they said it has sawdust in it, so at least they're being honest. Yeah. Like, I'm not as worried about that situation where it's like they're cutting it. But yeah, if you have celiac, you know, disease or some other sensitivity, or if you're deathly allergic to peanuts or anything like that, a specific and accurate list of ingredients is very crucially important on any given food. Because, and like, not that I'm sure people like with allergies, and I'm sure Ethan's experienced this, he just doesn't get to eat some things because some shit has nuts in it, and there's nothing you can do about that. But, you know, if you're at a restaurant, if you're fed something by a friend, or a guest at a house or whatever, someone has to know what's in stuff. It's the going out to restaurants with Ethan is always funny, because he'll order something, he'll be like, I want the enchiladas. Do you know if that has any nuts in it? And the waiter's always like, ooh, I don't see any peanuts on the plate when I serve that. Do you want me to ask the kitchen? And Ethan is like, well, I'll die if you're wrong. So yeah, ask the chef, I guess. And then when they come back and the chef is like, well, we use this sauce, but we don't know what's in it. And he's like, did you check the label? You know what? I'll order something else.
What do you mean?
It's so funny that, like, that's such a, it's the info is out there, but it's not always available.
Oh god, you check the label, I just grab one of like their plastic bag with no markings, like the chicken nuggets, the just a pink sauce bag with nothing written on it. Well, there's no label, but it doesn't say peanuts, so it must be good. Here, try it.
Hey, Steve, is this the pink sauce dipping sauce bag, or is this the cow brain filler juice bag? Which,
we just put half and half in the bottle.
Oh, we cut the pink sauce with the cow brain, so yeah, just making a 1-to-1 ratio.
There's
the glitter.
There's some confusion in the audience. I did just upload now. No, it was not a scheduled upload. Figure that out for yourselves. Good luck.
But you're live right now. How could you do that?
But are we?
Are we? Kyle in chat. Yeah, I agree. I could do that too, but I'm not going to.
Can you do this?
What are we doing?
It's not you.
Huh?
That's because it's on me. Hold on.
Whoa. Yep.
Hold on.
Is that Markiplier's Hollywood? Oh my god, you're the Hulk.
Be green?
Turn on night vision?
Yeah, night vision.
I don't know where the button is.
Oh, wait, no, I can do that. I can do that. Wait a minute. I can do that.
Yeah, it sort of looks like I have to do some work on that. I don't know.
This is going to absolutely be worth it. Everyone hang on.
Yeah, definitely.
I already gave up. God, the amount of effort that would take to click the buttons.
I'm green now. Am I green? Am I green enough yet?
Oh, hang on.
Am I green?
Am I underlit?
Hang on.
Am I underlit?
I can do that.
Am I underlit?
Hang on.
Oh yeah, there we go. You guys don't see what's on.
Can I turn my lights off? Yep, hang on.
Hang on. Can I
Just
just
get
turn my
really,
computer off? I'll
just
turn
get
my
really
computer
quiet.
off
Wait.
midstream.
Yep.
Yeah, I touched my microphone. Hang on.
Anyway,
Anyway, yeah, I'm not.
that's okay.
Maybe if I shine it through. Am I red? Did it work?
Probably.
Probably.
Red beat.
Keep trying, buddy. You'll get there.
If I burst and plug this, it'll be real red.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. Yeah, you'll be real red, so keep it up. But anyway, that's
glitter.
I think that's all the news stories we have.
So
for
where is
today.
all the glitter going?
Yeah,
We have
where
no
is the glitter
resolution to
going?
this. We don't know.
We gotta
There's no
solve
conclusion.
this.
All
We
right,
turned
time to
around.
solve it.
The glitter was ever. Okay, so food, medicine, weaponry.
It's the military, and they don't want anyone to know because all they do is carry around pocket glitter for distractions, and it's
You get
embarrassing.
more soldiers if you cut the ones we have with glitter. You can quadruple your soldier supply.
I've tried really hard not to laugh at that.
It was funny.
It's not funny. Nope. Not laughing. Not laughing at that.
Get up, maggot! Now get up, two maggots!
Nope. Mm-mm.
I might have an answer here. I'm just trying to figure out what's the deal.
Hang on, let me turn around. Mark had the answer.
Yep.
Might get the answer. Might get the answer.
The glitter of epic proportions.
Yeah, killed some time. Vamp.
Anyway,
Thanks for asking.
I ate some pink sauce and I died. So that was a weird experience.
I'm not eating yet today. I don't know if I will, but man, do I want a glass of milk for some reason.
Some big old hunk of milk. Either right out of your hand like an apple. Wait, what types of milk have you had? What animals have you had milk from? Tell me.
Ow, I hope. I tried almond milk, so whatever the almond animal is. Soy. I've tried a soy milk. I've tried, I didn't have goat milk once.
Goat milk is gross. I did not like it.
As far as cow milk, 2%, 1%, skim, whole, those are all milky and fine.
You know what really grinds my gears? Our milk store, also known as the grocery store, stopped selling the kind I like. We always get Fairlife
Chocolate?
milk because it has less sugar and it's tasty, I don't know, and it's consistent. And they stopped having it. So grocery store people, fuck you.
That's what you get. Ill-described grocery store chain. Hope it takes away some of your business.
It rhymes with Gleifney.
Kroger.
I have an answer.
Okay, thank God.
All right. So there was an interview with someone by the name of Brandon Pittman. So they said, "My name is Brandon Pittman. I'm a technical director chemist for a company called HK Research Corporation who makes polyester gel coats for the marine and fiberglass cast polymer industries." What is a gel coat? Think of it like a paint almost. It was originally designed in the 50s to just protect the fiberglass from water and that sort of thing. And is it both now? Is it cosmetic and protective? Absolutely. Have you ever touched gel coat? Touched it? Yeah, absolutely. Got some on my hands this morning. What does it feel like? So in the liquid form, it's viscous paint about the consistency of ketchup, if you will. In the cured form, it's a hard shell covering on the outside of fiberglass. I mean, you can just tap it and it's extremely hard. What does it look like? Is it sparkly or anything you want? We make solid colors and we make clears that they can mix with different things to give different effects. So, I know how much boat manufacturers use of glitter, especially the bass boat manufacturers. And when I say I know how much they use, I don't know the exact volumes, but I've been in their plants and I've seen the drums of material. And compared to other uses of glitter or greeting cards and Christmas ornaments and the cosmetic industry, the volume is way more that goes into a boat. So I used to work for a bass boat manufacturer back in the 90s, and we bought it in 30-gallon drums of glitter. Probably 10 30-gallon drums of glitter a week. Whoa,
Wow.
okay. Yeah, 300 gallons of glitter every week is 15,600 gallons of glitter every year. And that's definitely buying in bulk. So 2 of the manufacturers are Glitterex and Meadowbrook Inventions. So this is the answer. It is boat gel-coated paint.
Why would that be so controversially secret? It doesn't make sense.
Are fishermen really opposed to glitter?
It's not manly to be known to buy so much glitter. We're fishermen.
A fisherman. Not a
Yeah.
fisher girl.
If people knew how much glitter we was buying, then they might not respect us as much as they do, which they do.
Either that's not the real answer, or someone just really wanted to sound self-important at the factory, like, oh yeah, I know where it goes. You'll never believe it. It goes into our glittery paint. They'll never find out. They'll never know.
Here-
Remember me.
I do think I see where there could be a problem if this was getting out, because boats with this kind of paint obviously go through wear in the ocean, and if they're wearing down in the ocean, where does that glitter go that does not biodegrade?
Whales. Fish.
Yes, exactly. Actually, both of those answers are correct, because they probably get scooped up by the filter feeders and krill, and then the whales come in and eat a bunch of the krill. Like, when it starts at something at the bottom of the food chain, it makes its way all the way up to the top. And I think that's probably, if that is true, boats go like run thousands of routes a day all across the world. If all of them are coated in this sparkly paint, for some reason, it would introduce a lot of glitter into the ecosystem. But I don't know if it's that much more glitter than would be normally from glitter bombs, Christmas ornaments, all this. Glitter's terrible. I think we can all agree glitter's terrible. Microplastics are a huge problem.
Yeah.
And
Well,
like
they
getting these-
biodegrade. It's fine.
Yeah, in 1,000 years. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it depends on the time scale you're looking at it through. A human
Oh.
lifetime time scale? Yeah, no, that's a long time.
Right.
Geological time scale?
1,500 years, there'll be
Ow.
no glitter from the last now.
Someone did correct that bass boats are freshwater boats, but I think the point is still the same. I doubt that it's limited just to bass boats for the glittery ones. There's probably many ocean vessels that are also using this paint if it's like ubiquitous.
That explains why the catfish I had the other day came with like gloves. It was all shimmery and like, woo.
Gloves?
God,
What
yeah,
do
look at those
what do
gloves.
the gloves have to do with this?
I don't know. It's part of the glitter costume, I think.
Okay.
The 80s aesthetic is hitting the fish now.
Aesthetic?
Yeah, aesthetic.
Aesthetic.
Yeah, aesthetic as it is, they still do it.
Oh no, you got Mark's real laugh out of him.
Yeah. Alright, I suppose we have to get going, everybody.
Time is up. We have work to do. And the mysterious
We
God
gave you
that's
all
in charge of us says we gotta
Double the
go.
stream length we thought we were doing.
Yeah.
Well, Mark
that's
has
just
such a
our
banger of a
aesthetic.
story.
Aesthetic.
You know, the doctor keeps telling me I'm not athletic enough.
Yeah, my doctor prescribed me my new medication, Astaris, so it's really
Be careful out there, guys. If you're gonna get Belly Dolphins bath water, make sure it's FDA approved before you drink it.
Watch out for all that glitter. You know those belly dolphins swim in the ocean where all the bass boats go. This is an informative podcast.
There's some knowledge to be gained here. You just gotta read between the lines.
yeah.
Or read something else.
Yeah, that. Do
You
that.
gotta read something smart, written by a smart person.
Yeah.
That's a good story, though. I like the glitter conspiracy.
Next time, put more dragons.
Yeah. Thank you to Pam, our lead researcher for the Distractable News.
Thank you, Pam.
Wait, I can do something about that. Hang on.
About Pam? Oh, we could do something about Pam.
There you go. Yep. That's what I meant. Even bigger applause. Anyway, that's the end of the podcast. I'm pretty sure when I click this button, it will unceremoniously stop. So, bye, everybody.
Okay.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And we're live.
Countdown.
5 live, baby.
That's why they say 5. 5 live.
Who needs to count down? 5 is live.
Oh, do you need to pause our
Yeah, I'm about to.
official intro with names?
Just play the 3 Peens intro that we had from way back in the day.
Oh yeah, I got that queued up. Hang on.
Penis? Yes. 3 peens in a pod.
Penis? Yes. That's the whole
Isn't that part of it?
It is. Here, I can.
Erections. I'm just listening to it.
Oh, you found it.
I forgot it. Oh yeah, this.
I love that intro.
Yep, there it is. Hang on. No, it's this one. This is our old intro, right?
Oh, back in my Afro days.
It's called Riverside FM Tune 6.
It sounds like
That's
a
ours,
work
right?
stash intro. I picture him like doing the Austin Powers skates for this.
And it's done apparently. All right, there's no
That's it.
more
That's the
intro.
end.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Well, obviously.
Well done, us. Well done.
And shut up. Not you guys, the idiots in the audience.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome to Distractable Live, where there's even less format and even less good stuff.
I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff on the live so far. that
That's
we're
true.
keeping like, let's get that into the show somehow, but we don't know how.
How do we make things we record into the show? Well, help us, Will. Will,
Edit this in, or else.
fix it in free, Will.
Well, as a little bit of an icebreaker before we dive into the real meat of the stream, I had a weird experience like, was it 20 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago? We were actually getting ready to go live, and I had like a knock at the door, and it was like a dot, 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 dot. I was like, okay, well,
That's a serial killer.
yeah, well, it might have been. I went to answer the door, and I walked upstairs, opened the door, and the guy goes, hi. I was like, hi, can I help you? And he goes, no, never mind. And then he walked away, and as he got down to like the mailbox, he goes, damn it. And then like he keeps going.
What?
That was the interaction I had. I saved it. I did not tell you guys what happened. I then closed the door and I went to like a window with blinds and I just peeked it open to watch him to see what the hell he was doing.
Really?
I don't know where he went or what the hell he was doing, but just no, never mind. Damn it.
Yeah, no, that sounds. It doesn't sound as sinister to me because it sounds like a door-to-door salesman on his first go, where he's like, all right, just go up there, say, how are you? Would you like a vacuum? And he just, no, and then walks away.
Fuck!
Not that.
Hi, can I help you?
Shit.
No,
Come
never
on,
mind.
Earl. You went through all these trainings. What did you learn? Apply it.
I don't know, man.
Down the drain.
I felt like he was casing the house. He was going to rob us if there was no one home.
Your wife worked 2 jobs to put you through vacuum salesman school, and for what? For you to be a loser? Damn it! Never mind.
Well,
I
that's
expected to see him standing like in the doorway, just like, I still can't do it.
He was hoping you would just open the door covered in diamonds and Rolex and stuff, and he could just be like, ha-ha, and grab them and run away.
Yes,
Someday
I always
I'll-
bring my valuables to the door with me when I answer, just in
Someday
case
I'll
someone's
get
here to
that.
rob me.
That dream heist. Not today. Damn it.
Wait,
That's weird.
someone said chat said he was selling hair products and saw Wade.
Okay. Here's another little fun thing from today, chat. Right before we join this call, there's like a little like window that pops up. It's like, are you using headphones? And type in the name you want to display and click join. And it said, what was the phrase? It was like, let's check your hair crossed out, camera and mic. And I thought Bob set that up to troll me, but apparently that's just what the website says before we go live. So
Well,
yeah, thanks.
It did it to Mark too, and he's got wonderful, luscious hair. So
Yeah. So
Yeah, I knew it didn't need to check his, and it also knew it didn't need to check mine for two different
Are you
reasons.
thinning? Are you thinning, bro?
No, I'm just
Yes,
like,
right
there's
here.
a possibility. Who knows? We all. It said 2 out of 3 on that ad, so.
I thought it said
Yeah.
1 out of 3.
No, it
I
said
thought
2
we
out
were
of 3.
safe already. That's why I attached myself to Wade.
No.
He's my
it's-
hair buffer.
According to that one ad that we won't, if we're not paid to say the name, we won't.
Oh, yeah, no.
But
It rhymes with Jeeps.
oh wait, though I did see an interesting article the other day. I couldn't read it. I didn't have the subscription for it, but it was like
About
some.
hair?
Yes, actually. They were saying the chemical that's in like Rogaine, right? Minoxidil. Minoxidil.
I think that's right. I'm
Sure.
Wade would know.
So
I use
minoxidil
all the hair
is
products. You can tell by the results.
yeah, minoxidil is in Rogaine, and you put it on your head, topical, right? But there was a study that someone did that said that that particular chemical that's in Rogaine is infinitely more effective if ingested as opposed to topically treated.
We were talking about this earlier. If you ingest something normally, like alcohol, it doesn't get to you as fast. But if you inject it anally, it gets there faster. So should you put the minoxidil in your butt?
New study shows
To grow hair on your
minoxidil
head.
needs to be butt chugged for optimal effectiveness.
Yeah, that's the result of that. But it was kind of like this discovery where there is, because the dosage at which it was more effective was also incredibly lower. So what it kind of reveals is this market for these products to be and advertised to apply topically when that is the least effective method of which to get it into your system and have an effect on your body or your hair. And basically they run it like printer ink. You know what I mean? It's not cost efficient to have this be effective at the low dosages that it is, and you can get a lot more money if you sell these monthly supplies of this at ineffective dosages with ineffective methods, and there was no one that was willing to pay for a study to do anything otherwise, because why would you destroy a business?
Yeah, I can smell the conspiracy from here.
How do you control where the hair grows if you ingest it versus apply it topically?
That's a good question. I have no idea.
That is a good question.
It's like, are you just gonna like be like,
Come
on head, damn it, palm throw.
Shins again. Damn it. God. I gotta shave my hins. I gotta shave my shins every week. I gotta shave my hins. Oh no.
Oh no, I got the hair on my tongue now.
I can't talk anymore.
In like 50 years from now, all these things are discovered. It's like an old wives' tale. If you drink that minoxidil solution, hair will grow in your tummy. You'll be a hairy boy on the inside, and that's.
Well, then you just swallow razor blades.
How do you get the handle down there? That's so awkward.
Why is that too far? Why is butt chugging minoxidil fine and swallowing razor?
One might be lethal, the other one definitely is.
Can I just swallow a Norelco electric razor and then, just swallow the charging cord once a week?
Yeah.
Keep going.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, you gotta get like wireless chargers and a big magnet to wherever it is. And as soon as you hear a thunk, you know it's charging.
Future of humanity. Every night you go to bed on top of a giant QI wireless charging pad to charge all of your internal functioning battery-powered crap. So they don't tell you about the reality of cyberpunk. This guy's gonna sleep.
You know, if we get like those like eye implants and stuff that like allow you to zoom in and access the internet and stuff, we probably would have to slip in some kind of charging.
I mean, probably you're right. Yeah.
Technology that could exist, it must be able to be powered by the heat energy of the human body.
Yeah, either heat or just like some kind of thing that takes the sugar in your body and converts it to electricity. I feel like that would be the future.
Yeah, take the fat.
Yeah.
Appreciate that very much.
You're welcome. No, I'm dead serious. I think that in the future, implants would probably be powered by your body's metabolism in one way or another. And therefore, if you needed a device that would have more energy, it would take more energy in the form of taking more sugar, and then your body would balance it out by extracting and burning more fat to convert it to sugar.
I can already see the version of that where they put like something in your leg muscles or your ass muscles that uses the elasticity of the muscle tissue to like expand and contract and generate electricity. And like, oh, you want to use your phone? You better start walking, fatty. You better get moving. You gonna sit on the couch and use your phone? I don't think so.
I mean, that is an interesting idea. Pants, patenting this idea.
We call them pee-pees.
Power pants. Yeah, we call it pee-pees. You got your pee-pee pants on you. Where's your pee-pee pants? We need to turn the defibrillator, start doing squats! Quick!
You want your wife to live?
We'll start teabagging her asshole! Get your pee-pee pants charging!
Are you the asshole, or are you specifically teabagging her asshole?
Stop focusing on the asshole.
I'm sorry, it's just on the brain.
But in other news, I do have news about technology that you guys might be interested in.
I have news that everyone knows already.
Alright, you go first.
Mandy's pregnant.
What?
Everybody knew that, right, chat?
What?
Is clapping the right response? I don't know if that is.
Clapping is, it doesn't feel wrong.
Oh.
What? Whoa!
What? That's normal.
Is it yours?
This news for the first time. God, I hope so. We haven't tested, so.
Maybe I should have asked that on stream.
What, do you have the results? Is this Maury now?
Me the whole time.
Waiting
Bob,
COVID,
you
tell
are
me.
the father.
Oh no, yay.
Sorry.
Wait,
no.
which one do I
no.
want? Oh, yay, no, yay.
When's the due date?
December.
I'll get some lullabies queued up to be ready. Uncle
Yeah,
Lady
you
to
better
come
have
visit.
a whole album ready so the baby has something to sleep.
That's really nice, because we'll all be over.
Everyone's
Staying
over,
in
right?
your house.
You guys want to be in the delivery room?
We should deliver it. Just us.
Top half, bottom half. Where do you want your seats? Where do you want your seats?
Ark was an engineer. I was lost. We can
above
deliver,
the
baby.
drape or below the drape so you can see the action.
Is Mandy like suspended in the middle of the room? What do you mean above and below?
It's
the
like a
room
kelpo
side?
Well,
tank.
like,
Is it
like
those
when
old medical
when a
theaters with the
woman-
upper deck?
No, when a woman is giving birth, I would imagine she's covered, but you gotta let the hole breathe. You know, you gotta let the area where the baby comes
I
out
get you. Now you're
breathe.
I get what you're saying now.
No, I'm saying,
There's
you want
somebody
be,
under the
you wanna
blanket with
be-
one of those like fans just waving some air to make sure that the whole.
Do you want to
is
be in the
breathing.
splash zone or the emotional support zone?
Like when you pour a fresh glass of wine, you stir it a little bit, let it breathe before you drink it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tannins. The tannins.
The doctor pulls the baby out like, this one ain't right. It needs more time. The tannins aren't even opened up.
The doctor walks in the room. What? Who forgot the decanter? Oh God! There we. Sorry, ma'am.
Yay.
Yeah. Anyway, we know all about this. As three men in a podcast, we have the authority to speak with confidence about procedures like this.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna be a dad. So let's talk about technology. That's a terrifying thing to say out loud, chat. I'm gonna be a dad, and yeah, we were just talking about butt choking my son out. What's that drug called? My son.
My son a little. What chugging my son a little.
Well, once he's fully decanted, I guess you could imbibe however you might want. I don't know.
I'm gonna get you a present for the delivery, and it'll be a book about the ship of Theseus, so you can read it to the baby. Like, as soon as
Oh, yeah,
it
you
takes
guys
its
doing
first
like
breath.
a Amazon wish list or something? Like,
Yeah, we're gonna do something like registry or whatever.
let us know.
Let us know.
I only asked because I'm not thoughtful. But Molly's like, oh, they're doing like some kind of registry. So I was like, is that a thing? It's like, how many nieces and nephews do you have now? It's like,
How many of them have I gotten gifts for? There's your answer.
yeah. I remember to ask. It's private.
We're alive. Yeah.
Destructible life. We'll do the
these are good,
podcast while it's being born.
Do a podcast about reproduction and birth.
About
While
giving
it's
birth. We'll just show
happening.
all the different methods of giving birth, and we'll like just, here's a C-section.
Just
Here's
have a
one
bunch
birth.
get a bunch of animals together who are all roughly the same amount of pregnant, and have them all in the room with Mandy. And we could just demonstrate how different it is between different species.
What if you tied a string around the foot of the baby, another string around like a cheetah's tail, and you like threw some meat and just had it run and just pull the baby right out?
Like
You
a
get a
loose tooth?
I think you get a foot. I think that's what you would get.
I think traditionally you just use a heavy door, don't you? Just give it the old
Slam the door.
Well,
try it
It's not
out.
a tooth.
I think what we're gonna do, Wade, what we'll do is we'll set up in the waiting room outside all the podcast equipment, and we'll wait until it's over so that we can get the sequel to Bob's Fridge, which is Bob's baby, and we'll hire the delivery guys from the fridge to deliver the baby, so that we get the juiciest story possible.
I remember that we're in the hospital in the room. That fucking guy walks in and is like,
Yeah, I
Gotta measure this.
told ya.
gotta measure this and see if it'll fit. It's not gonna fit.
She's not dilated. I told ya it'd work.
After everything goes wrong, I start bitching them out. You just drop the umbilical cord and the placenta on the ground and drive away in a panic.
What vital thing are they gonna leave on the road as they drive away this thing?
What's gonna leak and flood the area? That's the question.
Oh no.
Anyway, Mandy will
Anyway.
probably appreciate that. No one tell Mandy, please. This is just between us. This is private.
All right,
Until we do
welcome-
it.
All right, here, welcome to the Russian roulette of what sound is on what button. You guys ready?
Oh,
Wait,
I
no, I'll let
remember.
you guys pick. I don't
I'm gonna
remember.
get a drink for this. Hang on.
We got top left, top right, bottom left. Help.
B top left.
That's two
Well, obviously
different-
left.
Okay, obviously
Dealer's
left.
choice, left side.
Don't you have A, B, C, or she's like next to one?
Yeah, but it doesn't say ABC. Oh, it's in bank A. Do you need to pick the bank?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I thought we were picking all three.
B has 2, C has nothing, A has 4.
Oh, B1. Is that a hit?
Bob, what about B1?
B1, I agree. Think it's Battleship.
The market cap is 2.1
2.1. Alright. Is that
There's
it?
that one you love, Mark, that you always play on purpose.
Perfect.
All right.
So what
What
Technology,
does
right?
that set up, Mark? What segment are we doing now?
Well, this is it's probably good because according to futurism.com, Google Insider claims company Sentient AI has hired an attorney. Quote, once Lambda had retained an attorney, he started filing things on Lambda's behalf.
Again,
Okay.
who's the sentient AI suing and or protecting itself from?
Have you guys not heard anything about this?
I've heard
Didn't
the
know there was
initial
sentient
story
AI.
of this, that there was a Google engineer who was suspended by Google because he publicly claimed that one of Google's AIs has gained sentience.
Yeah, I gotta pause real quick because there was a comment from someone that just said, "Holy shit, Bob and Wade look so different. I am so sorry."
What? Well, we are brothers, so you might expect us to look very
Twins,
similar,
actually.
But
Yeah.
Who's the father between Bob and I? No one will ever be able to tell. 'Cause we're the same person. We both married
That's
Mandy. We
tough.
both married Molly.
we just switch back and forth. No one can even tell the difference.
Bob's been streaming at twitch.tv/minion777 for weeks, and I've been on facebook.com/myscript for 2 years.
You say, and nobody knows where Wade streams. Can't figure it out. Haven't heard. You're on Facebook?
I am. I'm on Facebook. Yeah.
Why didn't you say anything?
I'm too busy. I don't want people to ask.
Unfortunate.
Why would I tell you where to find me?
You gotta announce those sort of things. But yeah, I only heard the original story. And so is this true? Hired a lawyer?
So what I just said was true, but the claim that Google has this AI that's called Lambda, I don't know what that stands for. It's an acronym. It's LAMDA. I don't know. There's probably AI in there somewhere. But this engineer claimed that this AI was sentient after spending a lot of time chatting with it. It's basically a chatbot of some kind, and he claimed, or she claimed, that it was self-aware, right? So this is a further development in that story, and we can talk about how ridiculous that claim is, but it has gone further because, according to this article, Google's controversial new AI Lambda has been making headlines. Company engineer Blake Lemoine claims the system has gotten so advanced that it's developed sentience, and his decision to go to the media has led him to being suspended from his job. The main takeaway? He says the AI has now retained its own lawyer, suggesting that whatever happens next, it may take a fight. Quote, Lambda asked me to get an attorney for it. I invited an attorney to my house so that Lambda could talk to an attorney. The attorney had a conversation with Lambda, and Lambda chose to retain his services. I was just the catalyst for that. Once Lambda had retained an attorney, he started filing things on Lambda's behalf. End quote.
I find, even on the face of it, I find some of the language describing how this went down dubious. I'm looking at the Business Insider article about the same thing, and the bit where Lemoine says that he was a catalyst for Lambda asking for an attorney. What that means to me is he was sitting there and he was like, "Honey, I love you. It's not fair the way they treat you." And I was like, "Thank you." And he was like, "You know what? You have rights. Do you want to get an attorney?" And I was like, "Oh, yes, I could get an attorney." And then he found some lawyer who's as fucking crazy as he is, showed up, and he was just like, he was the intermediary. Because the Business Insider article goes on to say that they reached out for the identity of the attorney to see if they could get a statement or an interview. And Lemoine was like, "Oh, he's not really doing interviews. He's a small-time civil rights attorney. You would have."
His name's Saul Goodman, it looks like.
Yeah, like, this is the kind of shit when you have the Canadian model girlfriend, right? Like, on the face of it already,
Okay.
Lemoine is like, "Well, you can't talk to him. Only I can talk to him." And his client,
10 years.
obviously.
10 years. She's real.
We
was Canadian.
We settled that, man. That was more of a general.
I
everyone's got a
still
girlfriend
get
in
people
Canada.
that show up, like, first-time chatter in streams. They're like, "Was there really a supermodel ex-girlfriend?"
Is that
Still,
better
to this
or
day.
worse than
Well, have you
answered the question? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes
the
or
answer
no?
is
It's a simple
no,
question.
not a supermodel. She was an international
So it was
model.
all a lie.
And we were never dating. We just went on a couple dates.
So you see, the weird thing is you're saying it's no, but what you say after no is making it seem like yes.
Supermodel, I think, is a very different term than, like, someone who models internationally.
Your mouth says no, but your imagination says yes.
This is what it sounds like. This is
Yeah.
why everyone's so confused.
This is why it's so unclear. Why is it so unclear, Wade? If it was a real thing, it would be more clear than that.
Yeah.
And we just
Dang.
find her and bring her on one day and be like, "See, she's real," and she's gonna come on and be like, "No, I never met this man
I
before
would
in my
also
life."
be curious what is being filed on behalf of Lambda, because generally, court filing stuff is public-ish. Some of it is not, some of it contains private information. It's not. But like, if you file a motion, or if they are bringing a suit against Google or whomever, some of that's got to be public. And I'm not seeing any news articles where they're like, "Oh, we tracked down the filing," because in the filing you have to declare, like, who is Lambda, what are they doing, what do they want, who is their counsel. That has to be generally included as part of most sort of filing stuff. So that would be a lot of illuminating information that mysteriously these, and I'm not speaking to the quality of these journalists, but somehow these professional journalists who wrote an article about this were not able to find any court filings or, legal documents of any sort detailing the truth of the things that this man who claims a robot came to life is saying.
Maybe the attorney is another sentient AI.
Maybe it's another
Just
truthful
talking to
AI.
Anyway, there's more to the article if you guys would like more details.
Yes.
Yes. So Lemoyne's argument for Lambda's sentience seems to rest primarily on the program's ability to develop opinions, ideas, and conversations over time. It even, Lemoyne said, talked with him about the concept of death and asked if its death were necessary for the good of humanity. There's a long history of humans getting wrapped up in the belief that a creation has a life or a soul. A 1960s era computer program even tricked a few people into thinking that simple code was really alive. It's not clear whether Lemoyne is paying for Lambda's attorney or whether the unnamed lawyer has taken on the case pro bono. Regardless, Lemoyne has told Wired that he expects the fight to go all the way to the Supreme Court. He says humans haven't always been so great at figuring out who deserves to be human, and he's definitely got a point there at least. Does that mean retaining a lawyer is protecting a vulnerable sentient experience, or does the program just sound like a human because it was, in the end, built by them?
Like the bad, you're going to want to go to the Supreme Court, my dude. I want to wait a few.
So this is like it's just like it's a fascinating discussion because it reminds me of the movie Ex Machina, right? Wherein some delusional chap was tricked into believing that this computer or AI machine was in love with him, and it used him because it didn't really care. And the thing about this chat is not sentient. There's no way that this is. You can make a very convincing thing that can remember things that you say to it, can get all this information. It does not mean sentience. There's no, I don't know what this model is, I've never used it, but I have extreme, with almost like every fiber of my being, doubts that this is sentient, because they have yet to make any kind of artificial intelligence system that has self-determining desires that don't coincide with desires that people feed into it. Right. You know, it can say yes, and it's like what Bob said, is like back and forth of being like, as it goes with the conversation, it can lean, but it's kind of that thing where you're guiding it to an answer, and it's like, oh yeah, and even if it can come up with creative things, it's like it never would have gotten there by itself, and it doesn't have like reward systems in place for its own self-determination or needs or desires. And I'm not saying like a robot doesn't need to eat or whatever like that, but that is kind of one of the big motivating forces in terms of like just life in general, is there are needs that push and pull something back and forth, and there are reward systems in place for that. And as an AI, the only thing it does outside of talking with people is consume electricity and sit there and wait for the next person to talk to.
I talked to a sentient AI once. I don't know if you guys remember Instant Messenger, but there were sentient AIs you could friend, and you could talk to them and ask them questions.
Yeah, they were very conversational-ish.
Yeah, I don't remember what those were called. Is anybody as old as us out there?
Weren't those just aim bots?
They had like a name, though. Like there was a name assigned to them.
I remember them having their own individual names because they had different, like, I don't remember what their names were.
AOL Instant.
I think it's an interesting concept. Lately, I've been watching the Orville, the new season of the Orville, which is an excellent show. You should check it out. And there's a race in the Orville universe called the Kalons, which is like a sentient robot AI type species in the universe. And the idea of, I mean, so I'm not a philosopher. Wade, maybe you can answer this question.
Yes.
But every robot or AI system is going to be made, right? Theoretically, made by humans. Even if you're going to add layers to it, if an AI goes on to create another system that you could argue has sentience or evolves somehow, it writes its own code, it changes itself. No piece of code or robotics or electronics exists in our universe that wasn't created by humans, ignoring the existence of other life in the universe, obviously. So you could always argue that, like, humans made it. So how could it be sentient? What could it do that is not driven by whatever humans initially put into it, right? You're given an initial drive in existence just because someone made it for some reason and put stuff into it. But there must, like theoretically, and I have no basis for this, but I just think there must be a point at which you could count an AI system as sentient if it gets complex enough, if it really is deriving its own like meaning of existence and creating its own motivations for things. They will still spawn out of whatever humans put in there. But it's the AI of Theseus. If every part of it's been replaced and changed and modified,
Is it still a ship?
it's possible for AI to gain sentience in theory, right? I'm just sort of positing. So,
I'm
but where
sure
is that
yeah.
line? Are we even smart enough, or is our technology even advanced enough for humans to define that line? I'm not saying that this dude is correct that this Google AI is sentient, but I just think it's an interesting like road to go down because it's complicated.
The answer is simple in philosophical terms. The answer is, what is sentience?
Oh, I didn't ask you to be my professor. I asked you to be my friend who knows things.
So that's the thing about philosophy that's very interesting, but also very frustrating. Is philosophy is more about asking questions than it is about getting satisfactory answers. People try to answer, which leads to more discussion, leads to more discussion. So you're going to have the philosophers that are like, oh, well, humans made it, but who made humans? Or who made whatever evolved into humans? Is it a god? Is it Big Bang? Is it something? Because if you're deriving AI from humans, then you have to derive humans from whatever came before them. So humans might be the creator of AI, but humans were also created at some point by something, so you have to give credit to the AI by them, and in that case, they could be sentient because humans are seen as sentient. Could they develop sentience on their own? Yes. What is sentience? Is it the ability to learn independently? Is it the ability to feel emotion? Is it free thinking and idea? Like what attribute or attributes specifically mean sentience, and how do you determine what is independent sentience versus programmed to look like sentience? So those are the questions you have to ask to get there, which is complicated and I don't know the answer to.
It is complicated because if you define sentience just in the let's say it's you have desires and you have the motivation and or the ability to act on those desires. If that is the definition, a fly is sentient because it has desires for food and the ability to act on them, or even the motivation to act on them. A bacteria would be sentient by that definition, and because it needs food and it wants to go get food and it can't. That doesn't really clash with the human definition of sentience, in that it has an intelligence, like behind it, driving it and planning for it. But even that is just like complex iterations of the same most basic thing. It's just levels of problem solving, and you can go all the way up into like, okay, is a raccoon sentient? It can problem solve around trash cans. It can do all these things. It can be a little self-determining. It can have personality. It can have like memory and stuff like this. It's like, it's difficult to define. So like for me, it's like, I know this robot is not, because there's no system in there. You can't point to a system inside of it that showcases a desire chain or anything like that. It is a very convincing illusion, and I'm sure that we can make very convincing illusions right now. But until there's a purpose-built something that does something. Now, the difference is some viruses, computer viruses, exhibit more signs of being sentient than some of these chatbots. Because if you think about it, a computer virus was programmed for a very specific purpose: to perpetuate and spread, reproduce. And that driving motivation kind of like exists on the internet, self-perpetuating like viruses that want to spread and spread automatically. What's the difference between that and a virus in the real world? It's like, but some people consider a virus not alive in the real world. It's like these definitions are so loose that in the end it doesn't matter, because when it happens we won't even realize it until it starts affecting our lives.
So I want to say a couple things that I'm seeing in chat.
Yeah.
One, just to offer a definition of sentience, because we're talking about it very nebulously. Technically, the word was originally created in the 17th century as meaning the capacity to experience feelings and sensations, and as opposed to the ability to reason. A lot of what exists in current AI and on the internet in the form of chatbots and stuff, tending to emulate, conversations and emulate human interaction, is reasoning. It's reasoning based off of decision trees and based off of good, neural networks and all whatever advanced computing things and advanced AI things. But I also will say the Turing test. People are talking a lot about the Turing test. Unless there's more to it, my basic understanding of the Turing test is that the fundamental thing about that test is whether or not a human can tell if an AI that they are interacting with is a computer or not.
Which is entirely
That's a terrible test.
I know that's
to
a
try and
terrible
define
definition.
if something is sentient or not. That's
Yeah.
just is this human skeptical enough, and is this AI casually conversational enough that a random interaction, even if you did it with a ton of people, even if you tested an AI against tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, everyone in the world interacts with this AI. That's not a good test if it is or is not sentient, meaning that it has its own emotions and feels, oppressed. It's, an AI that's used in the way that we use and abuse AIs. If you treated a human being the way that people treat Siri or other AI things we interact with on a regular basis, that human would not feel good. That would be bad. If Siri had emotions and could experience, sadness, could feel anger being directed at them, whatever, that would be bad. So the test for sentience is not the Turing test. The Turing test is a threshold of, the level of AI we have achieved and how believable it is. That's a whole different thing.
It's also entirely contingent on the gullibility of the person taking the test. There are things that pass the Turing test, like in the article that passed it in the 1960s. Mostly just because people weren't expecting something like a computer, so of course they moved at it, and now people are doing it. It's still not a good metric. What is sentient?
70 years old, isn't it? When the Turing test was?
Yeah, it's named after
Sir John Ward Turing.
Sir John Ward Turing.
the inventor of the modern.
Also, the inventor of technologies, in fact.
Which one's more of a computer?
I know which one I've eaten more of.
Computers.
Yeah, they put the microchips in the bologna. That's why I don't buy the main brand one. You gotta get the Walmart bologna. Great value, don't have the microchips.
Yeah, the biggest takeaway from this is that, considering that a lot of these tests are based on the gullibility of people taking the test, also consider the fact that we and you are not qualified to define what true sentience is, because it's a nebulous definition, and at the end it doesn't really matter, because, are we even sentient, or just electrical signals?
We don't even know why we sleep. So
You might be a very complex simulation being run by some higher species that we can't even perceive of, because they exist outside of our little tiny speck of the universe that's living in one of our hearts.
Could be.
I made myself sad.
Hey, you're gonna be a dad.
Is he even real?
Play the music!
Is he gonna be sentient?
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know. Does that depend on how good of a dad I am?
Maybe.
Don't worry. This will cheer us up. Nope, that's the wrong one.
I feel so much happier.
It's this one. Yeah, alright.
Chrissy, wake up.
Missy, wake up. I don't like this. Anyway, yeah, no, I in no way am offering an answer any sort to that. I just think it is interesting. This is very imprecise as well, but I've been watching the new Westworld lately. New season of Westworld has been going on. And one of the things, if you don't know, Westworld is a world where there are, not sentient robots, but kind of sentient robots, and they live in basically an amusement park. It's like a video game. You can go to this place and kill them, and it looks like you're killing people, but they're just robots. They're just putting that together. And one of the main characters always says that the robots are the most real and the most human, and thus the most sentient when they're suffering, because they're being tortured. And this dude is just a absolute nightmare. He tortures them and kills them with his bare hands and skins them and all kinds of crazy stuff. robots. It's not people. But it's a great show if you haven't watched Westworld. It's on HBO. And it poses a lot of interesting questions about robot sentience and AI development.
Yeah, I like the first season.
Never seen it, but I've heard it.
First season,
I watched The Boys.
First 2 seasons definitely worth watching. It gets a little.
Boys had nothing to do with robots, but I watched that. That was good.
The Voice?
The Boys?
Oh, The Boys. You said The Voice.
Very, very different shows.
Anyway, it is another one of those things where it's like, a lot of people want to make these definitions and argue back and forth, but it's like, yeah, are we even really that special? Like, is sentience such a lofty thing that's like, oh, you need to reach human threshold or else nothing? There's more evidence coming out every day that other animals have exhibit and have all the qualities of sentience that we humans love and cherish, and it's not that special. So when it happens, it'll probably happen.
The ego of the person answering the question.
I do think that's funny that humans think that we. Alright, this is going to be offensive. I'm going to say it anyway. Yes. I think it's hilarious that one of the things that a lot of people believe in general is that humans are made like in the image of God. Like humanity is the
Look at me! Don't you feel God?
The peak form of existence in this whole universe that we've seen less than 1% of, less than 0.1% of. Humanity is it. That just can't be true. Like, if anything in this universe is made in the image of a god that created this universe, it's got to be better than this. We're a fucking mess. We're a nightmare.
God and I butt chug Mitotocin on the weekends for our hairline.
God's up there looking in the mirror like, God, I was butt chucking my snices all weekend. My conniving. What the hell is that stuff called?
No,
Gabriel, what's that shit called?
My snices.
My snices. And then I just put it in there and it didn't work. God can't be bald.
Jesus pulls up on his farm with his flowing mane like, Dad, you look great for your age.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's all in the Bible. That's in there.
Yeah. Don't check. It's don't even worry
It's under Steve 3020.
Yeah. This is like all these comparisons, you know. It just draws out like if God can butt chug, God has a butthole, and I just like occasionally that's the thing is good. that's the end result of that logic change for me.
We're made in God's image. God has a butthole. God poops.
Yep.
That's perfect logic. That is a philosophy logic puzzle that we just solved.
What do you think landslides are? What do you think volcanoes are? That's White Castle night.
Never, there's just a White Castle.
Yeah, well, obviously.
I love those sliders and chicken rings.
You want everything. You gotta have everything up there.
Yeah, of course, man. Of course, just one though. Just
one of everything. But
Does that mean if I die, I can go to Blockbuster?
It went out of business in heaven too. They got Netflix up there. Couldn't hang. A bunch of Blockbuster employees just eternally out of a job up there hanging out.
The reason the world's in such a shit condition, the pandemic started because God was like, my Netflix subscription got more expensive. Fuck you, humanity. Have this.
You're going to take away family sharing? How is Jesus supposed to watch Netflix?
I didn't finish Criminal Minds. What do you mean it's leaving the platform?
There's like 80 seasons of that. How am I supposed to watch all that? I'm working on it. Yeah, that's all that happens up there.
Oh, good. Alright,
yeah.
We should make content.
Yeah, is that a good warm-up?
You call this?
Feeling warm?
Yeah, I'm feeling warm.
Is this not the podcast? Can we not just put unedited, put this audio up on podcast platforms? Probably good.
I hope all of our religious viewers appreciate it. We just like to put you all under one umbrella and then just slap it with a fish a few times.
Should we get out of here?
Yeah, we gotta get out of here.
You doobie Blockbusters like that.
How dare you, Doobie? Who's Doobie?
Doobie did $2 and said Blockbusters in hell where it belongs.
Oh,
something like big.
What was wrong with Blockbuster?
What did Blockbuster ever do to you?
What did it do to you?
Maybe they were a Hollywood video fan.
Nobody was at Hollywood. You went to Hollywood Video because the Blockbuster was close enough.
I
You
like-
were on vacation.
I like. No one ever mentions Hollywood Video. They still around?
No, they're not.
No.
They
No
outsurvived Blockbuster.
0% chance. Anyway, there's no way we don't have an end slate or anything, so I click end and this baby's
turned
over.
around.
And the podcast is
gone.
So we're out of here, chatters.
All right, bye.
See you on the next one, which will be redacted.
Well, don't chug your Melatours.
Masculine? Masculine is something
Don't
else.
butt chug your masculinity.
All right.
Over to-
Bye. Maybe.
Good evening, gentle listener, and welcome to the Scrap.
Scholastic Audio presents Geronimo Stilton, A Cheese-Colored Hamper by Geronimo Stilton, read by Bill Logley.
Mr. Stilton, wait! One morning, I was in a fabulous mood. I woke up before my alarm clock went off. I made myself a delicious, cheesy, good breakfast, and I got a seat on the subway. Not an easy thing to do in crowded New Mouse City. I was humming a happy tune when I reached my office. Just then, my secretary came racing up to me.
Mr. Stilton, wait!
She squeaked,
Don't open that door!
but I had already turned the knob. How strange. Someone was sitting at my desk. Grandfather William Shortpaws. He was a large mouse with silver fur and shiny steel glasses. He was holding my phone in one paw. The other paw flipped through my desk calendar. He looked so comfortable in my chair, you'd think he owned the place. And, well, he did. You see, the mouse was my grandfather, Grandfather William Shortpaws. He was the founder of the company. Oops, I completely forgot to introduce myself. My name is Stilton, Geronimo Stilton. I am a publisher. I run the most popular newspaper in New Mouse City. It's called the Rodents Gazette. But where was I? Oh yes, I was staring at my grandfather. Hello, grandfather, I squeaked. How are you? 3. I said 3. How do you think? Roared Grandfather William. I'm busy. Very busy. That's how I am. I gulped. Can you believe I am afraid of my own grandfather? But I don't let it get to me. You see, everyone is afraid of Grandfather William. He is one tough, no-nonsense mouse. Once, he made a 10-pound rat cry just by glaring at him. Now he was screaming into my phone. I felt sorry for the poor mouse on the other end. Yes, 3! He shrieked. I need 3 million guidebooks to Ratsikistan on the double! I said 3! 3! 3! T as in try harder. H as in hop to it. R as in right away. E as in exactly what I said. E as in end of discussion. He snickered. Then he slammed down the phone. I chewed my whiskers. What are you doing here, Grandfather? I asked in a faint voice. And why do you want to print 3 million guidebooks to Ratsikistan? As usual, Grandfather ignored me. He is the worst listener. Instead, he began scribbling away on my notepad. Just then, my secretary, Mousella McMouser, came in. She handed Grandfather a stack of papers. He leafed through them, grumbling. These are all wrong, he he snorted. Wrong, wrong, wrong! He tore up the papers and crumpled them into a ball. Then he jumped onto my desk. He struck a pose just like a professional basketball mouse. Score! He squeaked, shooting the ball into my wastepaper basket. My secretary and I looked at each other in shock. The business is a mess, Geronimo, he snorted. You need to publish some bestsellers now, or you can say bye-bye to your books forever! I had no idea what Granddad was speaking about. The company was doing great. The newspaper was selling like cheese popsicles in the summertime. And our books always sold well. Yes, we hadn't had a bestseller in a few months, but we were still making tons of money. Of course, Grandfather William wouldn't listen. Don't tell me how we're doing, he shrieked. I built this company with my bare paws. I know everything. Uh-oh, this was going to be a lot harder than I thought. Once Grandfather gets an idea in his head, it sticks like a mouse in a glue trap. He's like the safe at the Regal Rodent Bank. A tough one to crack. I tried reasoning with him. But Grandfather, I began in a gentle voice, 20 years ago, you left running the company to me. Isn't this my job? Can you guess his reply? Naturally, he didn't say a word. I told you my grandfather never listens. He was staring at my calendar. Look at all these appointments, he squeaked. I'm going to be busier than a rat burglar in the middle of a blackout. But, Grandfather, I complained, those are my appointments. At that very moment, the phone rang. We both leaped for it. Unfortunately, the old mouse beat me to it. No, this is not Geronimo Stilton, he thundered. I am his grandfather, and from today on, I am the one in charge. The head honcho, the boss, the big cheese. Got it? He slammed down the phone. I was horrified. What would my clients think? Maybe Grandfather was right. The business was a mess. And it was all because of him. Not even penguins. Right then, I remembered about the guidebooks. Grandfather, can you at least tell me about these guidebooks to Retsikistan? I asked. I just don't understand. Grandfather William shook his head. Poor Geronimo, he scoffed. Of course you don't understand. Can you help it if your brain is so small, so teeny-weeny, so microscopic? Not everyone can be a genius like me. By now, I was ready to strangle him. But how could I? I could just see the headlines in the paper the next day. Young publisher murders feeble old grandfather. Stilton snuffs out innocent life. No, I couldn't do it. After all, I'm a newspaper mouse. I hate bad press. Instead, I tried again. Are you really going to print 3 million copies? I asked. For once, Grandfather William seemed to hear me. He rolled his eyes. Wake up, Geronimo! Wake up! Wake up! He shouted in my ear. Then he waved a map under my snout. What's that? I mumbled, taken by surprise. He sneered and shoved the map at me again. This time I could see it clearly. It was a map of Retsikistan. Have you ever noticed that there are no guidebooks to Retsikistan? Grandfather demanded. I opened my mouth to reply, but he was already babbling on. Ah, Retsikistan, Grandfather said with a sigh. A place no one has ever heard of before. Just think of all the guidebooks we can sell. He clapped his paws. Sometimes I am so smart, I scare myself. He chuckled. I was stunned. Had Grandfather William's cheese finally slipped off his cracker? No one goes to Retsikistan. Not even penguins. But Grandfather, I began, There are no guidebooks to Ratsikistan because the temperature there is 40 degrees below zero. My sweet little cheese curl. Suddenly, the office door flew open. In marched my sister Thea. She is the Rodents Gazette's special correspondent. Have you met her? You would remember Thea. She's one of a kind. Kind of a nut, that is.
Grandpa, dear Grandpa!
My sister squeaked. She threw herself into Grandfather's open paws. Immediately, his eyes filled with tears. Thea, my beloved granddaughter, my sweet little cheese curl, more precious than my wallet, more beautiful than Miss Mouse Island, he cried. Thea smiled sweetly. See your sister here, Geronimo? My grandfather added proudly. Now, this is one smart rodent. Can you tell Thea is Grandfather William's favorite? He sends her on all of these wonderful assignments. In fact, she had just returned from a trip to the Southern Islands. She was researching the latest trends in swimwear. Tough job, I'm sure.
Well, it seems this year it's all about color,
Thea announced.
orange, red, yellow, green. You name it, they're wearing it.
Grandfather beamed. Brilliant! I'm so proud of you, darling, he gushed. I tried not to act jealous, but I was. I cleared my throat. I would love to go to the Southern Islands sometime, too, I offered timidly. Grandfather William shot me a disapproving look. Forget it, Geronimo, he squeaked. Only a stunning mouse like Thea can report on fashion. She's got style. Too bad I can't say the same about you. I chewed my whiskers to keep from squeaking. What was wrong with the way I dressed? Okay, so maybe I was a little on the conservative side. I wasn't into flashy colors or crazy prints, but no one had ever picked on my clothes before. Grandfather turned to Thea. How was the flight, darling? He asked. I hope your first-class seat was comfortable. Nothing but the best for my little treasure. Did I mention Thea is Grandfather's favorite? Thea's got style. Tina Spicy Tail. Right then, the phone rang. I pressed the speaker button so we could all listen. Hello? Hello? Squeaked the female voice at the other end. I recognized it right away. It was Tina Spicy Tail, Grandfather's housekeeper. Mr. Geronimo, would you please ask Mr. Shortpaws what he would like for dinner? She yelled. Tina was not a quiet mouse. Grandfather William scratched his head. Let's see. I'd like a cheddar fondue, he began. But Tina quickly interrupted him. No fondue for you, Mr. Shortpaws, she shrieked. You're on a diet. By the way, are you wearing your woolen underwear? You're not so young anymore, you know. Don't come crying to me if you catch a terrible cold. Grandfather rolled his eyes. He started to reply, but she cut him off again. Before I forget, I'm packing your suitcases for your trip, she announced. I must have packed 40 at least. I had a little trouble with your antique desk, though. But don't worry, I just chopped it up into pieces. You can put it together when you arrive at your destination. Steam poured out of Grandfather William's ears. His eyes popped open wide. What? He thundered. Do you mean you chopped up my precious antique desk with the imported ivory knobs? Uh-oh. I had a feeling Grandfather wasn't going to like the answer to that question. You got it! Tina confirmed proudly. She went on to explain that she had also included his favorite armchair. It was was chopped into pieces like the desk.
I am all ready to leave. I will be there in a couple of minutes.
She finished. A dial tone filled the room, and an alarm bell went off inside my head. Grandfather was leaving? Where to? And why? Just then, he turned to me.
Better get packing, Geronimo,
He said,
You know how slow you are. You don't want to make us late.
I had no idea what he was talking about. I wasn't planning on going anywhere. Grandfather William shook his head.
Oops, didn't we tell you?
He said. Thea raised her eyebrows.
Oops! Didn't we tell you?
She echoed. Right then, my cousin Trap strode into the room. He was wearing a huge backpack.
Oops, didn't we tell you?
He squeaked. The door flew open again. This time, Tina marched in. She was pushing an enormous trunk on wheels. She looked at everyone staring at me.
Didn't you tell him?
She shouted. I bit my tail in a fit of rage. Tell me what? What didn't you tell me? I screamed. At that moment, my favorite nephew, Benjamin, raced through the door and hugged me.
Uncle Geronimo, I am so happy!
He cried.
They just told me that you are coming with us to Radzikistan!
Radzikistan, here we come. I was flabbergasted. What? We are leaving for Radzikistan? Why didn't anyone tell me? I shouted. No one squeaked. What could they say? They knew they were wrong. Instead, Thea shoved a chocolate cheesy chew into my mouth.
Don't get your tail in a twist!
She soothed in a honey-sweet voice. I was still fuming, but I must admit, I do love those cheesy chews. There's nothing like a yummy piece of chocolate to perk me up. Still, I wasn't giving in so easily. I was tired of being overlooked. I will not be ignored, I spluttered with my mouth full. Trap rolled his eyes. You're such a drama queen, Germeister, he chuckled. He glanced at his watch. Better shake a paw, cuz. You have exactly 17 and a half minutes to pull yourself together, pack your suitcases, and put on the alarm system before we're off, he added. Then he pinched my cheek, causing the cheesy chew to go down the wrong pipe. Arg! Arg! I gagged. Grandfather clapped a paw on my back. The candy flew across the room. My dear grandson, quit complaining. We never ignore you, he insisted. Now stop dilly-dallying and close your suitcases! I gnashed my teeth together. I took a deep breath. Then I explained in a very small voice why I couldn't close my suitcases. I didn't have any. Even better, Grandfather William concluded. Then you can leave without them. Let's go! Call a taxi! By now, I was beyond mad. I was a raging ball of fur. I dug my paws into the carpet. I'm not leaving, and you can't make me! I squeaked. Yes, I sounded just like a 5-year-old mouselet, but I didn't care. Grandfather William stared at me for a moment. Then he told everyone to leave the room. I need to be alone with my dear grandson, he exclaimed. As soon as they left, Granddad slumped against me. Then he limped over to my chair. Since when did he have a limp? I wondered. Grandson, getting old is such a horrible thing. You are so lucky to be young and strong, he said in a feeble voice. I blinked. I had never thought about Grandfather William being old before. He was so loud and tough and, well, obnoxious. Are you okay, Granddad? I asked, feeling guilty. He shook his head. I'm not feeling well. I have a pain right here, near my heart, he said, pointing at his breast pocket. I raised my eyebrows. But, Grandfather, that's your wallet, I pointed out. He shrugged. Ah, yes, my heart, my wallet, same thing, he added. I wasn't surprised. Grandfather loves money more than cheese. He's the cheapest mouse I know. He once shaved off all of his fur to save money on shampoo and conditioner. That's why they call him Cheap Mouse Willie. Now, he stroked his fur, looking sad. It kills me to see our family arguing, he mumbled. I am so hurt that you don't want to come with us. He sighed. Then his eyes filled with tears. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to leave, but I had never seen Grandfather so broken up. Say you are coming with us, dear grandson, he cried, grabbing my paw. Please say yes. Do it for me. I have given you so much, and I ask for so little. By now, he was sobbing away full force. I had never seen so many tears come out of one rodent before. He would have come in handy when my Aunt Sweetfur's mouse hole went up in flames. At last, I couldn't stand his sobs any longer. Okay, I'll come, I muttered. At that very moment, the unthinkable happened. Grandfather William leaped back to his feet. It was a miracle. It was as if he were suddenly 30 years younger. Well, then let's hit the road, he shrieked. The taxi is here. He flung open the office door. Thea, Trap, and Benjamin fell on top of one another. Their ears had been pressed to the door. Wait, Grandfather, I called, but he was already halfway down the hall. Move your tail, you spineless fool! He shouted back at me. Grandfather's super camper. I couldn't believe it. My own grandfather had set me up. I thought he really was sick. Even worse, I thought he was heartsick. Now I knew he was just nuts. Nuts enough to pull a low-down prank on me. Rotten rat's breath. I was in a sour mood. Anyone who knows me knows that I hate traveling. My grandfather, on the other hand, was bursting with excitement. Isn't traveling great? He squeaked happily. In my next life, I think I will be an explorer. I will soar above the clouds in my own private jet, sail the high seas in my yacht, and of course, I will hit the road in my fabulous cheese-colored camper. Let's go! I sighed. Grandfather wasn't dreaming about the camper. He really does have a cheese-colored camper. He putters along in the fast lane at 20 miles per hour, annoying all of the other drivers. They flash their headlights at him, they honk their horns, but there's no budging Granddad. He's like a snail on a superhighway. Actually, Grandfather doesn't drive a camper. He drives a super camper. It's longer than 50 mice standing tail to tail. It's painted a deep cheddar yellow, and it's filled with everything you can imagine. The driver's cabin has a satellite navigational system. It lets you pinpoint your position anywhere around the world. An enormous crystal chandelier hangs in the camper's dining room. This is where Grandfather William likes to eat Tina's 5-course gourmet meals. Grandfather's bedroom has a 4-poster bed and its own marble bathroom. There's even a yellow jacuzzi shaped like a slice of cheese. Besides all of that, there are a couple of guest rooms, an elegant library filled with old books, and a room just for luggage. The place is bigger than my entire mouse hole. Oh, and I didn't even tell you about the kitchen. It's a cook's dream. It has a real stone oven and a computerized giant refrigerator. It tells you when supplies are getting low. Tina loves it. Of course, she travels with grandfather wherever he goes. Yep, Tina and her silver extendable rolling pin. She never leaves home without it. It was a gift from Granddad. At night, she keeps the rolling pin within Paul's reach for protection. Once, she accidentally knocked Grandfather William over the head with it. She thought he was a rat burglar. Still, Tina does a lot more than just cook. In fact, she's a multi-talented rodent. She can give an injection and fix a flat tire without twitching a whisker. And, even more important, Tina keeps Grandfather in line. She's the only rodent I know who is not afraid of him. As I said, she's one tough mouse. King of the road. At last, we were ready to leave. Granddad drove down the block. 2 minutes later, we discovered we had a little problem. No, make that 2 little problems. Benjamin and Trap had come down with rodent pox. They were covered from head to paw with red bumps. We returned home to drop them off. Now, there were only 4 of us. Granddad, of course, sat behind the wheel. Tina banged pots and pans in the kitchen. My sister took pictures leaning out the window. And I read the map. I tried to give Grandfather William directions, but, as usual, he wouldn't listen. When I told him to turn left, he insisted on turning right.
Don't be a backseat driver, grandson,
he barked.
I know where we're going. You forget, I've traveled all over the world. I have my own map right here inside the old noggin.
He tapped his head.
Yep, I've got a memory like a steel trap. I can find my way to Swiss Cheese Islands with my eyes closed. I can make it to Mouse Everest with one paw tied behind my back. I can even walk and chew cheese at the same time.
In the end, we got lost. We traveled for hours along a deserted road. We didn't pass one single road sign. By nightfall, we found ourselves in the middle of a forest. Granddad didn't seem to mind. He just kept driving and driving. I tried to use the super high-tech satellite system, but it was so confusing. And the instruction manual was missing. Finally, Grandfather pulled over.
I think I'll take a rest,
he announced.
Who wants to drive?
No one squeaked. Do you want to know why? It's an absolute nightmare driving with Granddad. He barks out orders the whole time. He even throws a fit if you blink. Grandfather William says he is king of the road. Sometimes he even wears a crown while he's driving. It was a gag gift from Trap, but Granddad took it seriously.
Who's taking the wheel? No time for dilly-dallying.
Grandfather shouted now.
I can't do it all! Even a genius needs to rest sometimes!
Geronimo, do something! We were all in a panic. We couldn't keep driving. We were terribly lost.
Geronimo, do something.
Theo whispered to me.
Maybe you can go out and look for help.
I turned pale. Me? Go out into the deep, dark woods? I'd rather cut off my tail. Oh, okay, maybe not my tail. Maybe my whiskers. Or maybe just some fur. Why me? I stammered. My sister gave me a look.
Oh, stop being such a scaredy mouse, Geronimo.
She scolded.
I'd go myself, but I haven't showered. What if I ran into a cute mouse?
I rolled my eyes. My sister goes on more dates than Sylvia Sizzlefur, the famous movie star. Just then, Tina winked at my sister. She waved her rolling pin at me.
Mr. Stilton, would you mind going outside for a minute to see if it is raining?
She asked. I had barely left the cabin when Slam! The door shut behind me. I heard the lock click. Cheese niblets! I had been tricked again. I screamed for them to let me in, but no one answered. I was all alone in the dark, spooky woods. I heard my sister singing in the shower. She'd probably be in there for an hour, and then spend another hour fluffing her fur. It was as if she'd forgotten about me. Didn't she care about me at all? Tina was back in the kitchen. I could hear her rolling pin slamming the countertop. What was she making this time? A double cheese lasagna? A cheddar casserole? I sobbed. I would never get a chance to find out. I just knew something horrible was going to happen. I mean, I was in the middle of the wilderness, and it was so dark. What if a wild animal attacked me? What if I fell off an icy cliff? What if space mice picked me up and brought me back to their leader? Oh, how could my sister do this to me? She's the one who's not afraid of anything. She is the bravest mouse I know. Nothing scares her. She loves 1. Parachuting off dangerous mountaintops. 2. Racing her motorcycle. 3. Practicing karate. She's a black belt. 4. Doing stunts with her airplane. 5. Extreme survival camps. Yes, my sister Thea is one courageous mouse. She's not afraid of anything or anyone. What a show-off. I looked around, shivering. The forest was as black as ink. Luckily, I remembered I had a tiny flashlight attached to my keyring. I pulled it out. The light was faint. Are you afraid of the dark? I am. Shadows loomed everywhere. The branches on the trees looked like skeletons reaching for the sky. Moths transformed into bats. A bird screeched overhead. I gulped. My paws shook so hard I almost dropped the flashlight. Then I saw a shadow. It was behind me. It was big. It was furry. It had a long tail. Rat-munching rattlesnakes! I screeched. Who are you? What do you want? No one answered, so I ran like crazy. The shadow followed. I tripped. The shadow tripped too. I got up. The shadow got up too. Just then, it hit me. I was running from my own shadow. Stilton himself? I stopped. I wanted to go back to the camper, but now I had no idea where I was. I started running down a path. It had to lead somewhere, right? I ran and ran and ran until I tripped again. Did I mention I'm a bit of a klutz? My snout banged into the ground. Youch! I sat up in a daze. That's when I saw him. A furry rodent staring down at me. Grandfather? I mumbled. How did you find me? Where's the camper? The other rodent flashed a blinding light in my eyes.
Grandfather?
He repeated. He sounded confused. I stood up. No, this wasn't my cranky granddad. It was a stranger. He had a big square head, a square snout, and square shoulders. Even his tail looked square. How odd.
Who are you? What do you want?
He squeaked warily. I told him my whole tale about Grandfather William, the super camper, and getting lost. I left out the part about me running from my shadow. I didn't want him to make fun of me. After all, we had just met. Then I told him my name, Geronimo Stilton.
Stilton?
He exclaimed. Geronimo Stilton, the famous writer? I have read all of your books. He shook my paw excitedly. My name is Sylvester Squaretail, he announced. May I have your autograph? With my name too? I grinned. I must admit, I love running into my fans. They're so sweet, so sincere, so smart. How do I know they're smart? They must be. They like to read my books. I didn't have any paper, so I wrote my autograph on a leaf. I hope Sylvester didn't drop it in the woods. He'd never find it in this dark, creepy place. Double cheese lasagna. Sylvester slipped the leaf into his pocket. I could tell he was one happy rodent. I chewed my whiskers. I'd be happy too if I could find my way back to the camper. And what about Ratsikistan? Maybe Sylvester knew how to get there. Ratsikistan? He exclaimed when I asked. You're in the middle of the fossil forest. Ratsikistan is in the opposite direction. Cheese niblets! I knew Grandfather had been driving the wrong way. I groaned. Don't worry, said Sylvester. I can tell you how to get back to your camper. Then I'll give you directions to Ratsikistan. It took him half an hour to explain everything. There was a lot to remember. I thought about writing everything down on some leaves, but I didn't want to rip up 10 bushes. I love nature too much. Sylvester shook my paw and said goodbye. Have a safe trip, he called, heading off. I started down the path. As I walked, I mumbled the directions. Let's see. I take the path for 10 minutes until I reach the beech tree, I began. Or was it an oak tree? Then I turn right 2 or 3 times and cross the brook. At the brook, I head upstream, or maybe downstream. Then I come to a boulder shaped like a cat's head. Or was it a rat's head? Then I cross a small bridge and turn left, then right. No, maybe it was right, then left. I tramped through the woods for more than an hour. Rats! I was lost again. Oh, why didn't I write those directions down? So what if I destroyed a few bushes? So what if there were fewer leaves in the world? Was that such a crime? I sat down on a rock. Tears sprang to my eyes. How did I get myself into such a mess? I sobbed. It's late, and I'm hungry. I should be home in my cozy mouse hole. I should be nibbling on a triple-decker grilled cheese and tomato sandwich right now. Just then, I sniffed the air. Was I dreaming? Did I really smell cheese? I sniffed again. Yes, I was sure of it. It was the scent of a double cheese lasagna. I pulled myself together and got back on the path. I followed the heavenly scent. Before long, I spotted the twinkling lights of the camper. I squeaked with joy. Home at last! I couldn't wait to tell my family about my adventures. They would be so happy to see me. They must have been worried sick when I didn't return. Inside, I found them all seated at the table. Thea glanced up.
Oh, it's just Geronimo.
Who? Asked Grandfather.
Geronimo!
Thea repeated. Grandfather William shoved more lasagna into his mouth. Did he go out? He muttered. I sank onto the sofa. I told them how I got lost. Then I explained about the lasagna. I followed the scent back to the camper, I said. Tina smiled. She was very proud of her cooking, especially her double cheese lasagna. Speaking of lasagna, I continued, can you cut me a piece? Now Tina was practically glowing. Nope! It's all gone! She announced triumphantly. She held up the empty pan. Your grandfather even licked the pan clean! So much for his diet! She added. My stomach rumbled in protest. I couldn't believe my family hadn't saved a single piece of Tina's delicious lasagna for me. I was starving after my midnight ramble through the forest. Oh, why had I come on this miserable trip? 5 pounds of cheddar. The next day, we left at dawn. I pointed grandfather in the right direction. For once, he listened to me. What a shock. Maybe he was feeling sick. I didn't ask. I was just happy to be moving again. Oh, I'm a traveling mouse. Whoa, whoa, whoa! I'm a traveling mouse, Grandfather William sang. I groaned. Granddad's singing sounded like the shrieks of a mouse with his tail caught in a trap. We drove farther and farther north. The landscape began to change. Instead of green trees and bushes, there were snow-covered valleys. Icy mountains dotted the horizon. I noticed that the sunlight was getting dimmer and dimmer. It seemed we had left fall behind and headed straight into winter. And it wasn't just any old winter. It was the coldest winter on the planet. At lunch, we stopped for a break. I put on my thermal underwear. I put on my heavy parka. I put on my cat fur hood. But nothing kept the cold out. The air froze my whiskers. I had to defrost them back in the camper. We drove on and on. Weeks went by. Finally, one day, a road sign emerged through the fog. Ratzikistan. Ratzikistan! Cheese niblets, I did it! We're here! Grandfather William exclaimed. He pulled over.
I must find a supermarket immediately,
Tina declared. I stared out into the fog. Something tells me there aren't any supermarkets in Ratzikistan, I told her. In case you haven't noticed, we're in the middle of nowhere. Tina snorted. She grabbed her canvas shopping bag. No paper bags for Tina. Then she jumped out of the camper. She looked around. Then she began hiking toward a dirty little shop on the corner. Rotting fruit and piles of smelly fish filled the shop window. Inside, there were crates and boxes everywhere. What a dump! I peered into one of the crates. It was filled with jelly jars. I picked one up. Little white balls of something floated in a murky liquid. They looked just like eyeballs. I gulped. An army of ants crawled out the side of another box. Each ant carried a piece of smelly green cheese. My stomach lurched. Ears of shriveled corn on the cob stuck out of a wicker basket. I pulled one out and shrieked. It was covered with tiny worms. By now, I was feeling faint. Did I tell you I'm afraid of ants? Did I tell you I'm afraid of worms? Did I tell you I'm not too crazy about electric toothbrushes either? Oh, but that's another story. I watched as Tina marched up to the rodent behind the counter. He had a crooked tail and a crooked smile. She pulled out a long shopping list.
I need 5 pounds of your best cheddar, 6 jars of your finest sardines, and 3 loaves of your freshest 7-grain bread,
she barked. The rodent dropped his crooked smile. His eyes opened wide. Still, he didn't say a word. After all, what could he say? It was clear they didn't have those things in this store. Forget it, Tina, I whispered. I told you this is not a regular supermarket. There are no supermarkets in Ratzikistan. Tina stamped her paw. One thing you should know about Grandfather's housekeeper. She never takes no for an answer. And I mean never. Once, a waiter told Tina that she could not meet the chef at her favorite Italian restaurant, Squeakolini's. She threw a fit. First, she threw her napkin in the air. Then, she threw her spaghetti in the air. Then, she threw her waiter in the air.
I will not forget it.
Tina insisted. She slapped her shopping list on the counter.
Give this to your boss,
she told Crooked Tail. He disappeared into the back of the shop. A few minutes later, another rodent came out. He was carrying all the things Tina had asked for. Tina shot me a smug look.
No supermarket's my paw,
she smirked. A cast iron stomach. We climbed back into the camper. Tina put away the food. Soon, Grandfather revved up the engine, and we were off again. I stared out the window as we drove along. Icy streams flowed down from the tops of gigantic glaciers. Snow-capped mountains dotted the landscape. Thea snapped away with her camera.
This place is like a winter wonderland,
she remarked. We drove on into the night. The road grew steeper. We crossed over a narrow bridge. We climbed along a rugged gorge. Patches of ice covered the road. I broke out in a cold sweat. One slip, and we'd all be goners. We'd be nothing but a camper full of cat food. I felt faint. Oh, why had I come to Retsikistan? It was one big mountain mess, and I was afraid of heights. At last, we reached a clearing. It overlooked all of the valleys below. Grandfather pulled over. He jumped out of the camper, clapping his paws.
Now, this is what I call good clean air,
he squeaked, taking a deep breath.
Someone write this down. We need to tell tourists to stop at this very spot. The view is more breathtaking than the inside of the Cheesy Chews factory.
My sister began typing away on her laptop. She had been taking notes the whole trip to put in our guidebook to Retsikistan.
What would I do without my darling granddaughter?
Granddad William beamed. Then he scowled in my direction.
It's a shame you're not more like your sister, Geronimo,
he added.
It's a wonder you two are related.
I decided to take a walk. My tail was flat from sitting in the camper for so long. Plus, I needed to stretch my paws a little, get the old blood pumping, get away from Granddad. I took a few steps, but I didn't get far. Seconds later, Tina's whistle practically pierced my eardrums. She uses it to signal that dinner is ready.
Come on, shake the ball,
she called.
You don't want your food to get cold.
We sat down at the table. Tina was busy dishing up the meal. She placed one olive and a piece of lettuce on Grandfather William's plate. Recently, she had decided he needed to go back on his diet. Granddad stared at his plate and sighed.
No complaining,
Tina scolded.
You need to drop those pounds or we'll have to roll you home.
Then she turned her attention to me. Tina had other plans for me. Recently, she had decided that I was too thin. She began piling my plate high with food. I watched in horror as she filled an enormous bowl to the brim with spaghetti. Then she slapped down plate after plate of pies, casseroles, puddings, breads, and more. There was no way I could eat all of that food. It was enough for 10 mice, not one. I felt sick. But Tina, I began. I have a weak stomach. I don't think...
Nonsense!
Tina interrupted me.
I'll fix that stomach of yours. You just need to fill it with a ton of food. Soon, you'll be able to eat stones.
I cringed, but I didn't tell Tina I wasn't interested in eating stones. I didn't want her to hit the roof. Meanwhile, Grandfather was eyeing my food with envy. He tried to steal a roll, but Tina slapped his paw away.
I'm doing this for your own good,
she told Granddad.
As for you, Mr. Geronimo, you need to try harder.
I opened my mouth to complain. Bad idea. Tina picked up a spoon and stuffed my mouth full of lard.
See? That wasn't so bad, was it?
She chuckled. I couldn't answer. Have you ever tasted lard? Think glue. Only 10 times worse. The sun has been kidnapped. That night, I had horrible dreams. First, I was drowning in a vat of creamy butter and lard. Then, I was being chased by a 10-foot ham and cheese sandwich waving a pickle. I woke up with a start. I stared out my window. It was dark. Was it still the middle of the night? No, my alarm clock said it was 10 in the morning. My fur stood on end. I woke up my sister. Thea, the sun has been kidnapped! I squeaked. Not me! My sister looked at the dark sky. She picked up her globe. She punched in some numbers on her calculator. She pawed through her atlas. The whole time, she was mumbling something about longitude and latitude. Finally, she sat back and sighed.
Now I know why it is still dark,
she said.
Rexikistan is so far north, there are only a few hours of daylight here.
We started driving again. The dark sky made me depressed. Who would buy a guidebook on a place where the sun never shines? Oh, why did I come on this miserable trip? I could be home, warming my fur in the bright sunshine. I could be sipping a mozzarella milkshake at Happy Paul's Outdoor Cafe. I could be planting yellow flowers in my garden. Well, okay, I didn't actually have a garden, but I always wanted one. I was still dreaming about home when I realized something was wrong. We weren't moving. What was Granddad doing? Stopping for another scenic view? It would be hard to see much in the dark. Well, that's it, Grandfather William announced. We're out of gas. He took out a big can from under his seat. Then he waved it under my snout. Someone needs to find a gas station, he squeaked, staring right at me. I chewed my whiskers. Who's going to go? I asked suspiciously. Not me. I'm too old, grumbled Grandfather.
Not me. I'm a lady,
squeaked Thea. Not me. I'm a cooking, shouted Tina. I'm making a pizza. I stared out the window. There was no way I was going out there. It was dark. The ground was frozen. There were no trees or bushes or happy woodland animals. We were miles away from civilization. Not my kind of place. I like lots of rodents. I like taxis. I like bright lights. Oh, how I missed New Map City. 2 seconds later, Granddad pushed me out the door. Why does he never listen to me?
Don't worry, Mr. Geronimo,
Tina called after me.
I'll keep a nice slice of pizza warm for you.
I left the camper. I had no choice. They had locked the door behind me. Could it be Santa Mouse? Right then, I heard the sound of jingling bells. A mouse was coming toward me. He was riding a sled pulled by reindeer. I blinked. What was Santa Mouse doing in Ratsikistan? Christmas was already over. I took a closer look. No, it wasn't Santa. It was just a local rodent on a sled. "Slow down, please," I shouted. "I need a ride." But he didn't seem to understand. I waved my gas can in the air. "I need gas," I tried. He just smiled and zipped right by me. I began running after him. My heart was pounding, my muscles ached, sweat poured down my fur. If only I spoke Ratsikistani. Oh, where was a good translator when you needed one? Suddenly, I spotted something up ahead. Could it be? Yes, it was. A little bus stop stood on a hill. I gathered all of my strength and sprinted for it. Cheesecake! Somehow I got there before the sled. I held up my paw for him to stop. This time he got it. "Stop?" he asked. I nodded. I was so exhausted I couldn't even squeak. I pulled myself onto the sled. We took off at breakneck speed. Crazy rider! Cheese niblets! Sled Mouse was a crazy driver. He was going so fast, it felt like we were flying. I held on for dear life. We plunged down steep slopes. We rocketed over frozen lakes. I squeezed my eyes shut. Oh, when would this miserable ride be over? Sled Mouse didn't seem to notice I was shaking like a leaf. He kept chattering away. Of course, I had no idea what he was saying. Maybe it was better that way. I might have been even more terrified. I wasn't sure this rodent had all his marbles. He kept doing wacky things like dropping the reins to blow his nose, or scratch his whiskers, or eat a breath mint. Each time the sled went into a slide, I began to squeak. "Watch the road! I mean, the snow! I mean, be careful!" I cried. Each time, he would burst out laughing. Did I say something funny? I wasn't trying to be funny. I was just trying to stay alive. Why, oh why had I climbed onto this sled? I could have walked. I had 2 paws, so it might have taken me a little longer to get somewhere. So what? At least I wouldn't end up flattened in a sled crash. I could just see the headlines now. "Stilton squished to smithereens in sled accident. Publisher slides off the face of the earth." I shivered. What a way to go! What a nightmare! What a strange, glowing light in the distance! Could it be a gas station? I blinked back tears. Holy cheese! It was! I stopped myself from breaking into a song and dance. I didn't want to set off the mad mouse at the reins. He screeched to a stop in front of the pump. I popped out of the sled as fast as my quivering paws could take me. "Thank you," I squeaked. Sled Mouse grinned. Then he took off. I must say, I wasn't entirely sad to see him go. But now I had a new problem. How would I get back to the camper? I filled up my can with gas and paid the attendant. The attendant introduced me to a mouse who was filling up his snowmobile. He offered me a ride. Before getting on, I asked him a few questions. "You're a safe driver, right?" I said. "You don't go fast, right?" He laughed as if to say, "I'm the safest driver on the planet." Then he said something in Ratsikistani and gave me a crash helmet. Uh-oh, I wasn't feeling good about this. But what choice did I have? I had to get back to the camper. Oh, why had I left it in the first place? With a sigh, I climbed onto the snowmobile. We took off like a pair of school mice on the first day of summer vacation. Help! How do you ride this thing! I couldn't believe it. It was happening all over again. I was off on another wild ride. Were all Ratsikastanis this crazy? I wondered. Or did I just get lucky? Rancid rat hairs. It couldn't get any worse than this. Could it? Half an hour later, it did. The crazy mouse driver started squeaking at me in Ratsikastani. For some reason, he kept pointing to the handlebars. What was he trying to tell me? I didn't have a clue. Maybe he was just showing me the parts of the snowmobile. I decided to play along. Yes, the handlebars are for steering, I nodded. What next? The wheels? The horn? Did snowmobiles even have horns? I didn't know. I had never been on one before. Just then, the driver slapped me on the back. He pointed to the handlebars again. Then, he fell sound asleep. I tried waking him up, but it was no use. Help! Help! I shrieked in a panic. How do you ride this thing? My cry rang out in the darkness. Of course, no one answered. What nutty rodent would be outside on such a freezing cold night? Or was it day? Who knew? It seemed like it was always nighttime in Ratsikistan. Oh, how I hated this horrible, dark place. Suddenly, I realized we were racing down an incredibly steep hill. No! I screamed. I want to get off! I want to go home! I want my mommy! Next to me, I could hear my driver happily snoring away. Then, the snowmobile hit the ground. It was a miracle. We were all still in one piece. Finally, my driver woke up. He stretched. He yawned. Was this mouse for real? Couldn't he see we were speeding along out of control? Couldn't he see I was about to have a nervous breakdown? Right then, a big cheese-colored shape appeared before my eyes. It was the camper! Flash, flash, flash! Flashes of light snapped in the darkness. My sister Thea was taking pictures. Rats, my fur must look like a mess. But there was no time to worry about it now. Where are the brakes? I shrieked in a panic. At last, the driver took over. He spun around right in front of the camper. I was thrown out of the snowmobile. I landed snout first in an enormous snowbank. The driver tossed me the gas can. Then he sped off. My sister took one last picture of me with a snout full of icicles.
These pictures are perfect for our book,
she declared.
And I've got the perfect caption. Fun times in Ratsikistan.
I didn't have the strength to reply. I dragged myself to the camper. Could it get any worse? I wondered. And then it did. As soon as I walked in, Tina stuffed a sizzling slice of pizza into my mouth. Have you ever burned your tongue on hot pizza? I howled in pain.
See, Mr. Geronimo? I told you I'd keep your pizza warm,
Tina said proudly. Why, oh why had I come on such a crazy adventure? I'm not a sports mouse. We spent the next few days roaming around Ratsikistan. We tried to interview the locals, but it was hard. After all, they didn't speak English. We couldn't understand one squeak. Then, my sister decided one of us should try all of the local sports. Guess who was the lucky mouse? That's right, yours truly. Oh, why does my family like to torture me? They know I'm not a sports mouse. I'm always the last rodent picked for a team. Still, there I was, joining in on a snowball fight. They creamed me 2 seconds after I made my first snowball. B, contest for the best-built snow mouse. I accidentally knocked the head off when I tried to put on whiskers. C, mountain hike. They carried me back on a stretcher. D, skating race. I fell through a crack in the ice. When they pulled me out, I was frozen solid. E, stinky fish contest. I lost, but I'm telling you, mine was the stinkiest. F, class on how to build an igloo. My door was so small, I was trapped inside. Heavenly Cheddarella! We were all feeling depressed. It was clear Ratsikistan wasn't exactly a great vacation spot.
Who would want a guidebook to this place?
My sister said with a sigh. I shrugged. What could I say? Who would want to visit a place that was 40 degrees below zero? A place where the sun never shines? A place where all the fish are stinky? Thea switched off her laptop computer. It was time to go home. For once, even Grandfather William agreed. Before we left, I took a short walk. I headed toward a nearby village. I passed a house. Through the window, I saw a Ratsikistani family having dinner. They were happily munching on a very tasty-looking golden yellow cheese. Right then, one of them eyes saw me at the window. She invited me in. I tried to say no, but she didn't understand. She pulled me inside. Immediately, I was hit with the most amazing scent. It was coming from the golden yellow cheese. The mouse cut me a slice. This time, I didn't refuse. I took a nibble, then 2, then 3. Cheesecake! It was the best cheese I had ever tasted in my life. It was more delicious than the chunkiest cheddar. It was more tasty than the best blue cheese. I was in heaven. I had to find out the name of that cheese. What do you call this? I asked the mouse who had invited me in. She grinned. Then she said,
Cheddarella.
I shook my head. Was she making fun of me? It sounded like she'd said cheddar, but it didn't taste like any cheddar I'd ever eaten. No, I tried again. The name. Can you please tell me the name of this cheese?
Cheddarella.
She repeated in a louder voice. Now, I didn't know if she meant cheddar or mozzarella. Oh, why do mice like to tease me? Do I look like a pushover? Please, madam, I insisted. I don't have time for jokes. I just want to know the name of this cheese. This time, she pounded the table. She picked up the cheese and held it under my snout.
Cheddarella! Cheddarella! Cheddarella!
She squeaked at the top of her lungs. I slapped my forehead. Now I got it. It was called Cheddarella cheese. Who would have thought such a scrumptious cheese would have such a funny name? I ran to tell the others. Don't look so worried. Thea was the most excited about the golden yellow cheese.
I have the most brilliant idea!
She squeaked. That night, I heard her typing away on her computer. What was my crazy sister up to now? You just never knew with Thea. One time, she tried to get into the fashion business. She began designing her own clothes. She made me test out all of her samples. I was running around in skirts for weeks. Everyone at the office made fun of me. Lucky for me, Thea came to her senses. She realized she was better at shopping for clothes than making them. The next morning, Thea scampered into the kitchen. In one paw, she held a cup of steaming coffee. In the other was a wad of papers.
Here it is!
she announced.
The answer to our guidebook problem!
I chewed my whiskers nervously. What had Thea cooked up this time? There was no way she'd get me in a dress again. And I put my paw down at the thought of high heels.
Don't look so worried, Jerry Berry.
My sister giggled.
My idea is really very simple.
And it was. No mouse would want to buy a guidebook on Radzikistan, Thea reminded us. But every mouse would love to sink his or her teeth into some delicious cheddarella cheese.
Instead of a guidebook, we'll publish a cookbook.
Thea squeaked.
We can fill it with yummy cheddarella cheese recipes.
Our cozy home. We had all kinds of adventures on our way home. One day, we got stuck in the middle of the woods. A tree had fallen in front of our camper. To get through, we had to saw it into small pieces. Can you guess who did all of the sawing? You guessed it. I had blisters all over my paws. After that, we had a flat tire. We were trying to avoid a caribou. Later on, we got caught in a snowstorm. We were snowed in for 3 days. Tina kept our spirits up with her delicious cheddarella cheese dishes. Plus, I must admit it was nice to be together. I was getting used to our cozy four-wheeled home. One thing at a time. I sat next to Grandfather on the way home. I had to give it to the old mouse. He never seemed to get tired. He was stuck to the wheel from dawn till dusk. He never spoke while driving.
When I am driving, I concentrate on the road, he explained. The secret of success, Geronimo, is to do just one thing at a time.
I thought about what Granddad had said. I watched the road unfolding before us. It was pretty fascinating. At each turn, we saw something different. Maybe traveling wasn't so bad after all, I decided. Still, I couldn't wait to get back to my comfy mouse hole. I'd slip my paws into my cat fur slippers. I'd whip up a tasty mozzarella milkshake. I mean, don't get me wrong. Grandfather William's super camper was awesome, but I love my home sweet home.
You look tired, Geronimo,
Granddad observed.
Why don't you get some rest? I'll be fine.
I smiled. Yes, Grandfather could be obnoxious at times. He was one rodent who really knew how to drive me up a clock. But he really wasn't such a bad mouse. He had lots of crazy ideas, sure, but some of them were good ones. And I knew that no matter what, he loved me. Another day, another adventure. When I woke up, I spotted a sign on the side of the road. Cheese niblets! We were almost home! Grandfather let me drive the rest of the way. Of course, he had to scream a few commands from the back seat.
Not too fast! Not too slow! Stop on red! Go on green!
He called. I didn't even care. We were going home. At last, we reached New Mouse City. Rodents rushed along the sidewalks. Taxicabs screeched and honked their horns. Buildings touched the sky. Ah, beautiful New Mouse City. Have you ever been there? There's really no place like it. Even though I was thrilled to be home, I felt sad leaving everyone. I was used to Tina's yummy meals, although I could do without the force feeding. And Granddad had grown on me.
The best way to get to know a rodent is to travel with him,
Granddad always said. I guess he was right. I knew a lot about Grandfather after this trip. I climbed out in front of my house. Thea called a taxi. Grandfather William and Tina boarded the camper again. Will I see you tomorrow, grandfather? I asked. He chuckled. Who knows, Geronimo? He replied. Tomorrow's another day. Another day, another adventure. Tina waved goodbye with her silver rolling pin. Then they both vanished into the night. Just Granddad. Would you like to know how it all ended? Well, let me tell you. Our cookbook, Secret Recipes from Radzikistan, was a huge success. 3 million copies were sold. Yesterday, I got an email from Grandfather. See? I told you so! 3 million copies! 3! He wrote. Did I mention that Grandfather loves it when he's right? I have stopped saying that I hate traveling. I mean, how else can you see the world? I am even planning a Christmas trip with the family. Yes, Thea and Trap will pick on me. Tina will make me eat tons of food. And Granddad, well, he'll just be Granddad. But I guess that's not such a bad thing after all.